The Neil Rogers Show on 560 QAM.
Oh,
Talk to Neil. Call 567-0560. Toll free in Dave and Broward. Or pound 560 on your cell phone. The opinions of Neil, his guests and callers do not necessarily represent those of the Beasley Broadcast Group, its staff, advertisers, or agencies. Now, here's Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
What's this obsession with Hokie?
Now, from Washington, the McLaughlin Group, featuring Eleanor Cliff, Jack Germond, and sitting in for Pat Buchanan, New York Giant Tiki Barber. Now, here's John McLaughlin. Issue 1, George W. Rings or vault? Eleanor Cliff.
Well, John, I'd have to say.
Wrong! Jack Germond.
Well, that's not an easy choice.
Wrong! Tiki Barber. I'm going to have to say the vote. Wrong! Actual answer, floor exercise.
That wasn't even a choice.
Next issue, Al Gore. Favorite Broadway show. Bring in the noise, bring in the funk, or Cats. Eleanor G, I think you're swelling off.
Well, John, I'd have to say.
Wrong! Jackie, Big Germond.
Well, that's a very difficult choice.
Wrong! Tiki Barber. I'm going to have to say Rent. Not a choice, Ricky Tiki Barber. You gave an answer last time that wasn't a choice. Wrong! Correct response, Cats. He loves them. Next issue, the cast of Big Brother should be murdered. How? Eleanor.
Guillotine.
Wrong! Jack Germond.
Dynamite.
Wrong! Tiki Barber.
I don't think they should be killed.
Wrong! Actual answer, poison pudding. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that's the best. 10:02 at 560 WQAM. Oh. See, I like a fascist with a sense of humor, at least, you know. Our third and final poll yesterday was a zip poll, and it was tight. I mean, it was nip and tuck, so to speak. We did leave Randy Johnson, the guy that called yesterday and said we ought to have the tall, ugly picture of the Arizona Diamondbacks who faded into obscurity, Randy Johnson. He is ugly and grotesque, but with all that long hair, who the hell can see the zits? We left him out. It was tight. Manuel Noriega, 197, wins the battle so far. We had 469 votes on this one. And guess who was second, George? Another skinhead, Baldy. 197 for Noriega, 186 for Wayne. Edward James almost, I would say he almost got second place, but it wasn't even close. He only got 59. Davy Johnson, only 11. Brian Adams had, how many did Brian Adams have? 9. And James Woods had only 7. That's because they don't know who James Woods is, evidently. Huh? They don't know from Citizen Cone and Once Upon a Time in America. This audience doesn't know those movies. Here's Bruce sends me a fax this morning. It says, please put the name of the book about Bush on your website. The other book, which I haven't got yet, I'm going to go out and get that tonight. It's called Shrub by, did we write it down? Oh, here it is. I wrote it down. Molly Ivins, Shrub. Rhymes with schlub. It says, I can barely hear your show on AM radio in an office building. Couldn't get the name of the book. And not only is it on the website, is it on there now? It will be. No. Well, it will be soon, won't it? But the cover of the book will be on there. And what I'm going to do today, a little bit later, in a few minutes, I'm going to select a page or a couple of pages from the book and read it on the air every day between now and the election. Is Our Children Learning? The Case Against George W. Bush by Paul Begala. And I now see that why yesterday, you notice we started getting, in fact, it was last week, toward the end of the week, and yesterday we had more of it, frantic hysteria by the right-wingers, including the Boy Scouts guy and some of these other real ultra-right-wing assholes. We're starting to get panicky because in spite of all of CNN's propaganda about these polls about, well, who's more likable? See, I understand that Ted Turner must be short of cash or something like that. Probably down to his last $40 billion. So maybe somebody there at CNN is getting greased or something because it's so obvious how they're skewing between their Gallup poll and this garbage they keep peddling about, well, who's more likable, like this, and they keep analyzing it and repeating it over and over again. And it was Bush 62 and Gore 31, everybody likes Bush. First of all, I can't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Unless the majority of American people are just as dumb. I heard Hank talking about this yesterday. And we mentioned it also, the fact that when you look at those focus groups, you look at those pathetic, tragic, moronic people they have on there, and then you realize, yeah, that's what's out there. Like that. And of course, if you've heard this show before, yeah, that's right. That's what we talk to every day. 4 hours a day. You know, interspersed with those idiots, there's a few rational people with some good comments, but every day I talk to idiots for 4 hours. Like that. So this business about likable and schmikeable, but the fact is the CBS News poll as of today, as of this moment, Gore 43%, Bush 42%. And in the Electoral College, which of course is the only poll that counts, Gore is leading in states with 208 electoral votes, Bush 205, and the rest undecided, too close to call. Now I'm going to tell you, this is so razor close, this election. I mean, as tight as can be. Speaking of tight, here's the great facts from Chucky from Hialeah. It says, the other day you were commenting about how football is a gay sport. It seemed to have pushed the wrong buttons with some of your sports nerd listeners. Well, here's evidence that it is. Yesterday, ESPN gave a segment to the etiquette of the butt slap in football.
Rectum.
They talked for about 10 minutes about it, but I'd like to point out two instances of the butt slap that they showed. One, Steve Young and Steve Mariucci shake hands after Young comes to the sidelines. After they shake, Young begins to slowly walk away. Mariucci then stares at Young's butt, then slaps it with a little smile. How do you like that? Two, Butch Bill Cowher is talking with Cordell Stewart. Isn't that interesting that Steve Young and Cordell Stewart are the two quarterbacks involved in these instances? Yeah. Bill Cowher is talking with Cordell Stewart. Stewart walks away and Cowher pats him in the butt. Rectum. After the slap, he stares for like 5 to 10 seconds at Cordell's butt, almost as if he liked what he felt. The thing is that football players don't seem to mind this at all. Why? Because they're already used to it from Pop Warner leagues, high school, even college football. Maybe you wonder what happens when a team holds a closed-door meeting, as in... Chucky goes on to say, I wonder what would happen if somebody tried to pack Cujo or Ty Domi in the butt. I bet they'd get their sticks shoved so far up that person's ass, they'd be able to pick their nose with the curve of the blade. Nice going, Chucky from Hialeah. Oh! Good point.
Cujo and Ty Domi, who's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. How'd you like that old fart that called yesterday, the first call of the day, after I was ranting and raving about the debate? The first call, a 400-year-old guy.
Toronto Maple Leafs, they're the best.
And I says, can you name me one player on the...
No, but, they're the best.
How's Harry Lumley doing? Oh, God, don't you love those old, crusty, 900-year-old people? Maureen Dowd, boy, I got so much crap today, I'm just loaded with crap. But should we take a call first? Here's a mobile in Miami Beach. Hello.
Hi, Neil. I think we should hold our presidential candidates to a higher standard and make them take a simple college entrance exam.
Yeah, well, I know one of them that would flunk easy.
You should try and set a movement to force them to do that.
Okay, I'm going to have a movement. Already did. Yeah, that omelet. Thanks a lot, Duff. Duff always shares his omelet with me. He doesn't realize it, but the people leave the bagels. What's the name of that joint? Bagel High? Bagel High? Yeah, see, you think that you're trying to... He's deflecting the anti-Semitic business, you know, by saying... In fact, even when I came in this morning, he said Cushman and Tuchus just to show how Jewish he's becoming. Anyway, it's 9 minutes after 10 at 560 WQAM. Got lots and lots of stuff today, including that story about which will lead to my poll today, which I'm sure we'll have a bitter disagreement about, those of you nerds out there and me, but that's okay, because as usual, I'm right and you're wrong. This must have happened when I was away. Yeah, it did. In fact, it was 3 days before I came back. I'm seeing this. August 29th it happened. This Italian kid who was here for the exchange program, tourist shot in Lauderdale, begins journey back home, paralyzed in a wheelchair, back to Italy. Nice going, South Florida. He's gun nuts. He's a maniac. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's one thing that Gore really fell down on. He could have given a much stronger answer, but he's peeing in his pants. He doesn't want to get the gun nuts all crazy. He doesn't want to offend the NRA too much. So he gave a real wishy-washy answer the other night. This country is sick with guns and people with guns. And you're right, guns don't kill people. Crazy people with guns, irresponsible people with guns, people who leave them around for their kids with guns, they kill people. Right on. F&A.
No portion of this program may be reproduced without the express written permission of WQAM DC Broadcast Group Incorporated.
Yank it, baby!
We want to go now to your closing statements. Governor Bush is first.
Thank you, Jim. What I care about is failure. And you know what? It can happen in America with the right kind of leadership. Surely this nation can come together to encourage doctors to take the lives of our seniors.
Can I comment on that? I would sign a law banning that procedure. If I'm entrusted with the presidency, here are the choices that I will make. I'll cut health care, prescription drugs, education, and national defense, put our budget into deficit, raise interest rates,
I can't let the man continue with...
I believe that Governor Bush is a national asset.
Correct, but that's just totally false. Wait a minute, it's just totally false. For him to stand up here and say that.
Thank you, Governor Bush. No, Vice President Gore.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. 10:15 at 560 WQAM. Here's a website that you might be interested in for all you citrus-canker people that are outraged. And I notice it's building to a crescendo now, to a major crisis in this community as people are starting to scream and holler and carry on. Florida Citrus Outrage, all one word, www.floridacitrusoutRage.com. Now, what's on there, I don't know, but it was put together by some people who are just as outraged as many of you are, and George is, and other people pissed off and fired up. And the owner of that dog, whose picture is in the paper today, not the owner, but the dog. The more I read about that story, it just makes me want to bark, makes me want to puke. And it's part of the fascism that we have here in this state, thanks to Governor Jeb Bush. And let me tell you again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This is the mentality of these people. The stormtroopers come in there knocking on your door, and if you don't do whatever they tell you, they're going to call the police. They're going to have the police arrest your ass, which has happened yesterday. Because the guy got all bent out of shape and pulled his shotgun and took it off my property, and they called the police and arrested his ass and arrested him too, from what I hear. How do you like that? The stormtroopers, the citrus stormtroopers in this goddamn police state. And how's that prostitution ring coming, by the way? Anybody hear any more about that?
No.
I didn't think so. Channel 4 and 6 and 7 and 10 and the frickin' Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel with your great investigative reporters out there. Just pathetic. Somebody must be paying all you people off, too, to turn the other cheek. That, too. Must be a lot of payoffs going on in this town because nobody could be that stupid. Nobody could have Alzheimer's that bad that everybody in town just collectively forgot about that story all at the same time. So we can't do anything about arresting cops that are running prostitution rings and busting the thing and putting it on the front page of the paper. But when it comes to knocking people's doors down and killing their dogs and cats and making a police officer sick to her stomach and putting her in the hospital, no less. She was in the hospital overnight. She was so sick. Oh, no, we didn't have no... And the interesting part of it is, for a bunch of guys who didn't have no chemicals or nothing, it's real interesting that the crew hauled ass once he called the police and took off with all this stuff before the police showed up. Yeah, they hauled ass and hauled away whatever chemicals they had. And it's going to be real interesting in the next few days or couple of weeks because it takes too long because the laboratories are backed up for weeks. But when those tests come in from the dog and the cat and the other people that were inhaling in the sprayed by it, and we find out what dangerous chemical that it wasn't ammonia, and it wasn't soap suds or whatever else they claim it was, then you're going to see the fur fly. Then you're going to see some serious, big, fat, smelly lawsuits. And guess who's going to have to wind up paying for those lawsuits? You folks are going to have to pay. That's right. The taxpayers of this state. But I just mentioned that in passing. www.floridacitrusoutRage, all one word, floridacitrusoutRage.com. Here's our poll for today. Well, before we get to the poll, Maureen Dowd in the New York Times she writes a caustic column mostly about Gore and about the fact that Gore is running away from Clinton and won't even mention his name, et cetera, and so on. However, there's a really interesting paragraph in here. Am I reading this selectively? You bet. She says, as W bit the inside of his lip and looked hunched, vacant, and played out, you just had an image of a head full of sawdust as he sniffled, snorted, and sifted through his brain, trying to remember if the situation called for, I trust people, not government, or leave no child behind, or the partisan bickering has to stop, or governors lead, that's what we do. If that doesn't sum it up, perfect. If she doesn't have her thumb right on it, I don't know who does. Right on it. All those little trite cliches. For every question, doesn't make, and like she says, he's trying to figure out which one do I come up with now? Where do I stick it? And a cliche, too. Wayne Kalish, one of our regular listeners / faxer, says, I went to my local Borders yesterday evening to purchase Paul Begala's book. They had put the last copy aside for somebody else. I searched the web and found it at ecampus.com for $8.40. How do you like that? You can buy this book for a little more than $8 and free shipping. Just thought you might want to let your listeners know. Go Panthers ? Go who? Coma. I did the right thing last night. After 2 periods, I figured sleep would be better than the rest, and I made the right choice. So anyway, ecampus.com, you can get the book, because the regular price on this is $12, plus tax, of course. $8.40 from ecampus.com is our child learning by Paul Begala about George W. Bush. Here's our poll question today. The United States is one of these, well, wait, the United States is, and I got three choices for you here, one of the safest, most civilized countries in the world. Second choice, no better or worse than most countries for violence. Third choice, a slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags. Now, what are you smirking about again? Every time I give the poll choices, you smirk like, you were smirking. You were smirkling. Yeah, a little bit. Which reminds me, speaking of smirkling, Cheryl, our old friend at IOD, remember when she sent her daughter to Israel? See, this is the thing. It's a bad idea to send your kids to Israel. I'm going to tell you why. It was either on one of those student exchange programs or one of those deals. Go be a professional Jew in Israel program. Spend time on a kibbutz. Yeah, she was on a kibbutz. Oh, it was so wonderful. They were kvelling from it.
Boy!
And she came back, and right away she became fanatical. And she made Cheryl kosher the house, and they were eating kosher, and they had 45 different sets of dishes. Remember how long that lasted? For about 5 minutes. How many days did that last? 9. Yeah, at the most. 9 minutes.
Jonesing for a cheeseburger.
Yeah, right. Till they went to Wendy's. Just more of the same. If you want your kids to be fanatical religious nuts, that's a great place to send them. Israel. I just mentioned it.
We want you here to talk about Israel today and the Arabs, the 5 distant Arabs.
No. Wait till George is on again next time. He's bringing in Yasser Arafat's grandson, who's also got a schmata and smells bad. Anyway, the reason I'm asking that poll question today is I was away. It was a couple days before I had my famous fall in the red light district in Amsterdam and broke my 2 ribs in my hand. August 29th. And the only reason that I've seen this story is because yesterday they showed this kid in the wheelchair, and when they mentioned he's going back to Italy, right away my ears really perk up, because having been in Italy so many times and realizing how safe it is to be in Italy, whether it's in Bologna or Firenze or Roma or Milano, which are the cities that I've been in there, people rarely, and I do mean rarely, get murdered in Italy. In fact, rarely get murdered in Western Europe. Rarely get shot. Rarely, very rarely, except for London, which of course is not on the mainland, and as a result, let them lose their souls. They're going crazier than bedbugs over there. Tourist shot in Lauderdale begins journey back home. Fort Lauderdale, his arms trembled as he pushed himself a few inches out of his wheelchair, and his face, unshaven and bespectacled, strained with exertion that movement that before August 29th was so simple. And Andreas Stella is beginning to accept that he likely will never again play soccer or ski in his native Italy. I don't realize it yet, he said, glancing at his legs, still uncovered with a white sheet. There are some times of depression and anger, he said, and sometimes you're happy because you have your family, your girlfriend, your friends. It's been a tough adjustment. Carefree, recent law school graduate on vacation, to paraplegic recuperating from gunshot wounds in a hospital thousands of miles from the town of Tiene, where he was born and raised. On Wednesday afternoon, he began his journey back home. On Tuesday, his only interview since the shooting, Stella declined to discuss what happened after he pulled up to his friend's apartment around 11:20 p.m. Police said he was likely shot by one of 3 men who followed him in his black Mustang convertible hoping to rob him. Minutes after he was shot in the stomach and back, firefighters rushed him to Broward General Medical Center in critical condition. Over the next few weeks, as Stella clung to life, doctors repaired his liver and other organs, but they couldn't fix the damage to his spinal column. After the shooting, a week after the shooting, police arrested 2 men and a 15-year-old and charged them with the robbery of a sandwich shop on Sunrise Boulevard about 8 minutes before the Stella shooting. Detectives theorized the 3 followed Stella after seeing him drive by in the racy black convertible and shot him shortly after he arrived at his friend's apartment complex, but police haven't gathered enough evidence to file additional charges against the 3 yet. He's a veteran traveler who has toured Africa and Europe. He knew to keep a low profile and made sure to wear inexpensive clothing and take off his watch when traveling alone, etc., and so on. But he made the bad mistake of coming here. Not only to this country, but to this slaughterhouse in South Florida. And even in what people would think the Isle of Venice would be a safe part of town, guess what? Was it a safe part of town? No. And if it does turn out that it was the 3 scumbags who did the number at the subway shop on the Sunrise Boulevard, if it is them, because they've been showing the surveillance video on television, which they have of those 3 scumbags that robbed the Subway sandwich shop. Schwarzers. Yeah. Scumbag Schwarzers. See, I'm going to say it again. And maybe you don't like it. I really don't care whether you like it or not. But the amount of violent crime, the lack of regard for human life among the dark-complected people in this country, and I'm not saying all, I'm not generalizing, but way, way too many. It's unacceptable. It's unfreaking acceptable. How many times have we seen this? You think they're only selectively showing us surveillance tapes when the people, the scumbags that are committing these crimes happen to be black? Do you think they're just selectively? All the white
cracker plot.
Yeah, that's right. It's another cracker plot, and all the white people that commit these crimes, they conveniently lose or maybe just the tape wasn't running good that night. Camera wasn't working. I don't buy it. Too much of this scumbag crime is being committed by dark folks. So instead of hearing all this whining going on, and all this baloney about the Million Family March or the Million Man March and all this other crap, just like that poll we took a couple of days ago. Lack of responsibility. Get an education, get a brain, be responsible, get a set of values, and start acting like human beings. That's my suggestion to that segment of the dark community in this country who will make it a slaughterhouse. And I'm not saying that they're the only dangerous ones. This country, it truly is, after having traveled as much as I have, this country is really barbaric. And the fact that the NRA is the third highest contributor to the Bush campaign, that should tell you a lot of what you need to know. Aside from the fact that Philip Morris and the tobacco people are the number one contributor, and number four is the pharmaceutical companies to help make sure. And he even came out and said the other night, he doesn't want lower prices. He's not for generic drugs. He wants everybody, not just old people, to have to pay through the nose. And that's why the pharmaceutical companies are jonesing to get him in there. They do almost anything to get his ass in there. So all this crap about who's the most likable and who smiles the most and who's got the best personality, what the hell are we talking about? We're talking about your life, for Christ's sake, and we're worried about who's the most likable? You know, if he was like Reagan, which, you know, Reagan was amiable, he was an actor, he was, you know, he had that, even though he looked old and confused all the time, but he was likable. In kind of a goofy kind of way. There's nothing likable about this guy. I mean, the fact that his opponent is a cigar store Indian, that kind of personality, yeah, I guess if you have to make the comparison, but what kind of an issue is that? CNN? What kind of a goddamn poll is that, Bill Schneider, you idiot? You see, when you want to drag, I mean, the people are geniuses, like I said before, in the first place, but when you want to drag everything down to the lowest possible common denominator, when you want to make banality what it's all about, then that's your media here. That's what they do best. 26 after 10 at 560 WQ.
Only in the Banana Republic, baby. Only in Miami.
Rocks for every time. I be rolling with a trunk load in my 81 Buick. That's it, here I be gone. And if I have to bust a cap, I just say I didn't do it. That's it, here I be gone. And when I get to Crack City, I go to the third world and ask around the club on who be buying my gun. I be going to Crack City to the floating nightclubs. Yeah, I be going to Crack City and be stabbing my blood. And I be going to Crack City and unload my junk. I never go to Crack City without packing my gun. Yeah, to rock for every time. You know that every now and then I sell some crack to a white dude. Crack City, here I become. Some was buck or in the intersection working for free food. Crack City, here I become. Well, I be cruising by the Purple House with no windows. And be knocking on Moesha, she my favorite hoe. Yeah, be going to Crack City, and I'm gonna sell my crack. But I'll be going to Crack City. You can count on that. I'll be going to Crack City and blast my rap. I'll be going to Crack City, 'cause I be bad, yeah. To rock for every time. That's right. It's supposed to be a guitar here.
What are you talking about?
You mean you can't play no guitar?
I don't play no guitar.
10:33 at 560 WQM. Molly Ivins, who wrote that Shrub book, Shrub, in her column today, writes, Bush not only amply demonstrated his vast ignorance, speaking of the debate, but also was so profoundly misleading on his supposed role in Texas Patients' Bill of Rights that I have to conclude he knowingly lied. It's possible to not know or be confused about a lot of things, but Bush cannot possibly believe what he said, being, as a matter of fact, I brought Republicans and Democrats together to do just that in the state of Texas to get a Patients' Bill of Rights through. He was there, I was there, and that's flat untrue, she says. He reviewed the details of the bill accurately, so it was clear that he had recently prepped on the subject. To add insult to injury, Bush went on to claim, but we did something else that was interesting. We were one of the first, actually the first states that said you can sue an HMO for denying you proper coverage. What is called the Patients' Bill of Rights was actually a package of bills, only one of which was ever controversial. That's the bill Bush hated so much he refused to sign it. He had to be talked out of vetoing it because the veto wouldn't stand in the legislature. Texas Representative Hugo Barrianga, who was chairman of the Public Health Committee at the time, and Kim Ross, lobbyist for the Texas Medical Association, both fought him on it. In 1995, his first year as governor, the Texas legislature passed the Patients' Bill of Rights, and George W. Bush vetoed it. In 1997, the legislature passed very much the same Patients' Bill of Rights, this time by a veto-proof majority, and Bush refused to sign the crucial segment of the bill, the very one he bragged about, that in Texas you can sue an HMO for denying you coverage. He refused to sign it because he hates trial lawyers and didn't want them to be able to sue HMOs. That's what the whole fight was about for 2 sessions. The person who deserves the credit that Bush so egregiously took for bringing R's and D's together in support of a strong bill is Republican State Senator David Sibley of Waco. Bush was an impediment throughout the entire process. No one expects Bush to know the difference between Chernomyrdin and Berezovsky or even Drake Verehowski, but the one subject that he's supposed to know about is the state of Texas. In the course of these debates, he has claimed that the governor of Texas appoints state Supreme Court justices, which is a hopeless howler. He dwelled with great relish on the claim that all 3 killers in the most notorious murder case of our time got the death penalty. Only 2 of them did. And Bush, in fact, did nothing to stop a hate crimes bill, which was the legislature's effort to bring something good out of the case from stalling, and now he claims that he passed the Patients' Bill of Rights, which in fact was passed in spite of it. If Al Gore had twisted the truth as grossly as Bush did on the Patients' Bill of Rights, every Republican in America would be screaming, liar, liar, liar. It's harder to tell if Bush actually believes his repeated claim that he's a leader who brings Republicans and Democrats together. Can he possibly think he, rather than since deceased Lieutenant Governor Bob Bullock, was running the state? I'm not sure which would be troubling, if he knows it's not true or actually thinks it is. I've tried repeatedly to explain to non-Texans just how weak an office the governorship of Texas is, but even if Bush suffers from the illusion that he has a powerful job, he must know he doesn't work it by anyone's measure. The New York Times has just discovered with an air of great wonder that Bush doesn't even work 9 to 5, and that he knocks off work every day for a couple of hours to jog and play video games. This is your future president of the United States, who is not only a compulsive liar about things of substance, issues of substance, but also doesn't do a goddamn thing. Excellent. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I missed the first part of your thing on the citrus-canker.
Yeah.
This situation, I'm really fired up and peeled about it. I chased the bastards off my street because they weren't supposed to be here. But it's worse than the papers reported. They've cut down avocado trees, and I don't know if you know that they've killed a horse also.
Great. Well, they're trying to get one of each of the animals. It's like Noah and the Ark, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Get up here.
the first thing I want to discuss with you. But and they're getting a $1 million bonus for if they can finish by the end of October.
Well, isn't that great? Well, let me ask you, where's that money going to come from?
Yeah, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting this big bonus. They can cut down more trees, and they get $100 per tree they cut down.
And this thing in court, if they stop them and they don't get that million, then we'll have to pay the millions in the lawsuits that they're going to wind up with judgments against them.
Well, not only that, and it gets even worse. The local nurseries were not allowed to bid on the cut. Were never offered these certificates to replace the trees. All went to Walmart.
There you go.
So
I rest my case.
Yeah. Second thing is, one of our political parties just died. Gus Hall.
Yeah.
In Tuesday's obituaries.
Gus Hall?
Yep.
Communist Party?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's dead.
Okay, well, that's good news. Thank you. He probably knows Ann Richards, that famous communist former governor of Texas that we had that idiotic call allegedly from Milwaukee yesterday by some Neanderthal right-winger who thought this was the fat-ass Limbaugh show. Wrong fat ass. 22 till 11 at 560 WQM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Got to keep your Jackson straight here.
All right.
Everybody's taking a brand new pill now. No more baby, take a pill abortion. If there's something inside of you making you ill now. No more baby, take a pill abortion. No doctor visits, it's too easy to do. You just pop one of these, let the stick turn blue. So come on, take a pill abortion finally.
10:43 at 560 WQM. Happy Thursday to you. I just want to read a couple of more things from Molly Ivan's column that I read the first part before about George W. She's a columnist, I should point out, from Star Telegram newspaper in Austin, Texas. She says, I've thought that since he first ran, let me say it again, that since he first ran, George W. Bush was too light to be governor of Texas. Frankly, I can't imagine why anyone would consider him for president. He's not smart, he doesn't know much, and he doesn't work hard. The truth is, he's not terribly interested in government or how it works. Damned if I know why he's running. He's a nice fellow. I've always liked him. I like lots of people who I don't think should be president. And I read that just now, and I thought to myself, that's the same thing Paul Begala says in his book here, who's also from Texas, and knows him well and likes him personally. And maybe that's why these stupid polls on CNN about who's more likable. Yeah, he's a likable guy. There's a lot of people I know and like. That doesn't mean they ought to be president. I'm a likable guy. Yeah, George is a likable guy. Should he be president?
No.
No. Of course, smarter than him. He's not. He's a goddamn illegal alien. Well, after that show on the Middle East, I think George for president.
Hey!
Yeah.
Fix that problem,
of
right?
the Palestinian state. See, you didn't let me finish. And you notice there's nobody interested in that kid from Italy. See, like when they grouped the dead German tourists came out. This is America for you. It's all a big joke. People from the rest of the world come here in this slaughterhouse, people who can, generally speaking, be safe wherever the hell they are, and they come here and get shot and killed by gun-crazy nuts, irresponsible lunatics running around with guns like the Wild West, and then so we make a joke out of it. Oh, yes, the dead German tourists. Pretty funny, huh? Pretty funny. And you wonder why in the rest of the world they look at us like a slaughterhouse, like we're a bunch of barbarians, which is the way I voted on our poll, of course, which is leading at the moment, 24. Although, in second place, 22, one of the safest, most civilized countries in the world. That's obviously from people who have never left Broward County, never even been to Dade. Because even if you've ever been in Dade County, would you ever say that?
No.
And no better or worse than most other countries for violence, 12. That's the way our poll is running so far. So when it's, in fact, he's back there now, because they left yesterday on Alitalia, back in Italy. So in spite of the fact that the family was very humble and they thanked Broward General Hospital and all the people that helped with his health and so on, that's not primarily what they're going to be talking about back there in Italy. You think so?
No.
I doubt it. They're going to be telling all their friends and everybody they know, do not go to the U.S. It's a gun-crazy place where people get shot. Just while they're doing their normal course of life, minding their own business, they get shot and either killed or the next best thing to it. Here's Plantation. Hello. Plantation. Going once. Long gone. Okay, let me mention, look for the QM van from 11 o'clock till 1. At the Hooters on the corner of Pines and University in Pembroke Pines, you can get your Best of Neil CDs and cassettes, those nifty keychains, and the T-shirts, too, which this year are the best ever. That's Hooters on the corner of Pines and University in Pembroke Pines from 11 in just a few minutes till 1 o'clock. Here's a call in Boca. Hello.
Well, I stayed up and watched that Panther game last night.
I'm so sorry.
It was terrible.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now, a couple facts you're leaving out, though. George Bush got reelected with 70% of the vote in Texas.
So
they saw the job he did in his first 4 years and said, we like this guy.
That must be it, yeah.
And the leading Democrat politician in the state
You know, it's interesting. You called yesterday and said the same thing.
No, I didn't. Sure you
did.
The leading?
Yes, you did. You called yesterday and said this. Well, you want to put it on the tape so we can play it every day?
I did call, but I didn't talk about this. I talked about it
You sure as hell did mention it. Yes, you did.
Can I ask you a question?
Because I remember the voice, and now he just needed... See, I love this when I nail somebody who wants to call and say the same thing and make the same speech every day, and then they pretend like they can't hear what I'm saying.
Broosh is going to win the state of Tennessee.
How do you know that?
He's neck and neck with Gore.
Neck and neck, and he's neck and neck in Florida, too. So what's that? And Bush's brother is the governor of the state, in case you haven't checked, which he was supposed to win by a landslide.
How in the world, if the people who know Al Gore
Because there's a bunch of redneck Yahoo right-wingers in Tennessee. What the hell does that prove?
Oh,
doesn't prove anything.
You can't say that about people. That's not nice. You got to find...
Oh, it's not nice? Well, it happens. It's not a nice country, okay? There's a lot of dumb people out there. Don't say that about people. It's not nice. Look in the mirror, pal. That's not nice either. You can't say that about people. I hate to break the news to you. You've probably never been in Tennessee, mister. I worked there for 1 month, for the longest month of my life, at WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee in October of 1980, before another close election. That wound up not being close because they had the hostages in Iran, and because of that Iran-Contra deal that they made to make a fool out of Jimmy Carter, and all the other, and the double-digit inflation and the oil Arab embargo with your good friends the Arabs again. Yeah, I remember that real well. Tennessee. I know what it's all about. They aren't born the ordinary way in Tennessee. They're hatched in big eggs in the old Andrew Jackson cave. They have all these big eggs back there, and they hatch those Tennesseans out of there. Even Orange Snatch, I think, was born in Tennessee. Oh, you can't. That's not nice. We're not talking nice. We're talking about who the hell's going to have his finger on the goddamn button, who's going to make decisions effective, who's going to appoint Supreme Court justices for the next 30 or 40 or 50 years that are going to make life and death decisions, that are going to take away rights from women and every other goddamn minority group in this country. We're not talking about playing a ball game, sir. We're talking about a presidential freaking election. And I got news for, I'll say it again, Ann Richards has got more intelligence in her little finger, in one knuckle of her little finger, than George W.'s got in his entire goddamn spoon-fed body. And anybody with a brain knows that. Here's a mobile in Boca. Hello.
Neil, good morning,
sir.
Sage. A sage of great reason.
Yes, I am.
Neil, did you see Roger Ebert's interview on softball last night on Chris Matthews?
No, I did not.
Neil, he was right on point with what you were saying. He was saying, how can the people be bamboozled by this media hype that are making George Bush out to be a nice guy, and he's going to help everybody, and they're ignoring the fact that if you look through it all, who is really the better person to do the job? And it's Gore. I mean, Gore is he may not be the best personality, which Ebert readily admitted, but his command of what's going on in the government, how to run the government, the nation, is far superior to George Bush. So, Neil, based upon that, I'm calling out to all responsible, and it's kind of an oxymoron, but all responsible Republicans, which include myself, not to vote for Bush. In fact, I'm going out and I'm working for the Gore campaign.
Okay.
So I got, Neil.
Early and often, pal. And I'm going to say it again, because it's Nader's staying right even at that 4%, including here in the state of Florida, 4%. And all you young, idealistic, silly people that think that Ralph Nader is going to be the Messiah and lead you to the promised land, you're dreaming. All you're doing is throwing away your vote. It would be like the Bush people saying, hey, go ahead and vote for Pat Buchanan. A vote for Buchanan is a vote for Gore, and a vote for Nader is a vote for Bush. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So all you Bush people who are kind of like wondering, vote for Pat Buchanan. If Bush isn't extreme right far enough for you, which he probably should be, but if he isn't quite right-wing enough, vote for Pat Buchanan if you're leaning Bush. Yeah, that's a good idea. Including all those right-wing Julios, which I have again, bad management, bad campaign, the Gore staff wasting a lot of time down there in Little Havana, and they're all distressed that all the Spanish-language radio stations are full of the Bush spots and the McCollum spots. Well, of course they are, because the people who are listening to those stations are the old toothless crowd that we had down there with the alien business month after month. Is there any chance that those people are going to vote for Gore?
No.
So what are you wasting your resources and time for? It's the same bad advice he got on pandering to them with that alien business with his idiotic comments back in the spring. Ill-advised. If Gore loses this election, it's not because he's not the smarter and the more qualified candidate. It's because he's got a poor... how many times he had to change it already? Some people in this town don't change their underwear as often as he changed campaign staff. And then, of course, after the Democratic convention, and Gore opened up about a 10 or 11 point lead, and then Bush had to remake himself. Although it still sounds to me like like that, but he's doing it a little different way, with it more or less of a Texas drawl. Here's Kendall. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, sir?
Good morning. I went to the website you gave, right?
Yeah, which one is that?
The one of the Florida Citrus Outreach.
Right.
And, it's interesting. I was reading it, and it says that Jeb Bush gave the executive order for the citruses to be cut down.
That's what I just said before, right?
Exactly. So you know what I'm going to do to help go out? I'm going to, not only in your show, but also in Radio Mambi. I'm going to be calling, and I'm going to be telling these people who are still Bush supporters, I'm going to tell them, look, it's his brother who's in charge of this. If you people are angry that you're losing your trees and all that, and his brother's doing this, imagine what, Georgie boy is going to do in Washington.
That's right. It's the canker man.
I'll tell you something. After the third debate, because I was a little bit angry with the Democrats, with the alien incident. I'm changing my mind. I'm voting for Gore again.
Nice going, pal.
Oh, yeah. You better believe it. Have a nice day.
Okay. Twist it arm. Bend it. Break it. Yeah, this, if you vote for Bush, the rumor I'm hearing in the last couple of minutes here is that if you wake up the day after election, you're going to have a chancre on your rectum. That's what I'm hearing. They're the chancre people. A big, oozing, bloody chancre. And that guy that calls to go, you know something, if you're for Bush, that's fine. A lot of you people listening to the show are going to vote for Bush. That's okay. But don't call here every day with the same stupid little speech. You're not fooling me. My Alzheimer's is a long way from... Call up Ronnie, okay? He doesn't remember your call. Or much of anything else. He's saying, Nancy who? Keeps asking if Jane Wyman's still around. Here's a lady in Plantation. Hello?
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay, about that guy that called before from Tennessee and was saying, don't talk about people like that.
Oh, he's not from Tennessee. He was talking about how Gore's made
I'm
Tennessee.
Sorry. Okay, that's right.
He's never been... The closest he's ever been to Tennessee was Palm Beach County line.
That's probably right. One of the things that I really liked about seeing Roger Ebert, I'm sorry you didn't see it on Hardball yesterday because I know somebody just mentioned it.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Roger Ebert is not a pundit, so he was giving his honest... He was about the only person that could actually infer that the American public is stupid. He said to Chris, he goes, well, I'm an intelligent person. He said, are you an intelligent person? And then he said, George Bush may smile a lot, but his policies are not warm and fuzzy. He said he doesn't want old people to have health care, prescriptions. He doesn't want women to have abortions. He wants everyone to have a gun in their house. He said, how warm is that?
Yeah.
We are not electing a prom date.
Taking guns into church, that's pretty warm and fuzzy if you ask me.
And then, of course, Chris Matthews, who, oh, my God, he's trying to elect Bush on his own, says something about, aren't you worried about, Gore being cold and distant, and, aren't you worried? He said, and so Ebert said, we're going to have a talk show host as a president.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was great. Sorry you missed it.
Thanks.
And Molly Ivins, by the way, was on Equal Time last night.
She was?
Yeah.
So I missed all the good stuff.
And I have an article she wrote in Mother Jones from 1992 that I kept all these years about all the Bush brothers. It's really great.
Okay, thanks.
If I had a fax, I'd fax it to you.
I'm going out and buying her book today.
Okay, bye.
Barbara Bush said she thought that Gore would hit son. Ready for this? Former First Lady Barbara Bush, a.k.a. Martha Washington, said on Thursday, meaning today, she was worried that Vice President Al Gore would hit her son, George W., during their final presidential debate this week. In an interview with ABC's Good Morning America program, Mrs. Bush criticized Gore, the Democratic Party's presidential nominee, for his aggressive stand during the third presidential debate with her son. I thought he was going to hit George, said Mrs. Bush, wife of former President George. It sort of scared me. This is the same Barbara Bush, by the way, that told her son that he'd never make it, he'd never get elected governor of Texas. Because I guess she knew him better than most the Texans did. Mrs. Bush said she didn't watch the first debate between the two candidates, as she did not like people unfairly criticizing her children and husband. I'm a bad sport about that, she says. She's a bad sport. And speaking of brilliant foreign policy, is that same Saddam Hussein the same one that Daddy let off the hook there? Even when the generals, they're talking about, well, here's Colin Powell, and here's the other big fat one. Here's all these great war heroes are there with W. But the fact is that they wanted to finish off the job, and Daddy said no. And that's why here we are all these years later, and we still got the same troubles brewing over there. And he's had all this time to build up all his goddamn nuclear weapons, whatever the hell else he's weapons of destruction and death. Poison pudding. That's right. For the cast of any of those CBS shows, including Survivor, if they try to bring it back again. Yeah, Saddam. He's still over there because Daddy was a wimp. Well, was that a great choice to talk about a wimpy in 88? Bush and Dukakis. Wow.
Well, you don't really want to be president, do you, George? Oh, I don't know.
10:56 at 560 WQM. In fact, they even outwhipped Drew Lieberman, which is saying a lot. Yeah, he was on this morning. What show was that he was on?
Regis.
Oh, with Regis. Well, I think that you're being really unfairly critical here, and I think that if you just would be a little bit more tolerant of our ideas.
Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, and WQAM.com for the world.
Floridians, dumb as dirt.
Gentlemen, closing statements. You begin, Senator Lieberman.
Bernie, Al Gore and I are committed to making America's public schools crumbling classrooms. I have tried very hard in my career to act in a way that brings down the institutions of government and each of us individually. And for a while, I was drilling my wife Hadassah, and the deeper I got...
That time is up, Senator.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Secretary.
George Bush is a good man, an honorable man, a man of high taxes. And Governor Bush and I want to reform the Social Security system so that senior citizens suffer this winter he'll make a first-rate president.
Secretary Cheney, Senator Lieberman, we thank you.
Oh! All right. 11:02 at 560. I just heard you, Lieberman's voice, and I start cringing. I mean, Dick Cheney, forget about it. He's slick. Oh, and speaking of Dick Cheney, this has been kept very quiet. Very, very quiet. But by 2-1 margin, for whatever reason, they didn't make a big hoopla about who won that debate, and it was supposed to be a coincidence that Bush's numbers went skyrocketing up after, not any one of his debates, but after the vice presidential debate. 2-1 margin, people thought that Cheney won the debate because Lieberman is so wimpy and he let him get off the hook and made him seem like a very moderate, reasonable guy and had a very civilized conversation. And then the next day couldn't understand why Cheney was being such a dick and making all those caustic comments and going on the attack. Yeah. So anybody thought, all you old Jews out there who think that Lieberman is an asset to this ticket, you're dreaming. Because first of all, very quietly in these polls, surfacing to the top of the anti-Semites across the country, and if George could vote, beware. But that's one thing. And number two, he's such a goddamn wimp, and he let Cheney, like I just said, make himself appear whatever he wanted to be. He spun himself right into a reasonable guy. And Lieberman, and they're still going on about, oh, well, that was that was a real debate. That's the way it really ought to be. Baloney, that's bullcrap. A debate is a healthy and heated and serious exchange of ideas and differences, not a tea party. Here, have another bagel. You know, that kind of crap. On some cream cheese, with or without chives. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. CBS News, this is a great website, cbs.com. And if you want to see stuff about the election and the polls, right up to date. Their poll today shows in the popular vote, Gore 43, I mentioned this before, Gore 43%, Bush 42. In the Electoral College, it's as tight as a witch's rectum ass. Gore leading in 14 states and the District of Columbia with a total of 208 electoral votes. Bush leads in 23 states with 205 votes. The remaining 13 states with a total of 125 are considered too close to call. Can't possibly get any closer than this either in the popular or Electoral College. Now, that professor from FIU, Moreno, whatever his name is, Rita Moreno, he makes a very good point, and that is that the polls are taken in English language only, so they miss the old green tutulios. So even though Bill Nelson looks like he's 7 points ahead of Bill McCollum right now, and even though Gore's been a couple of points ahead of Bush in Florida pretty much for the last few weeks, it's imperative that everybody else vote. Because it's going to be very tough for either or both of them to win in the state with the old green tooth, because they don't show in the polls. But they do come out. Oh, do they come out and do their thing. Just something to keep in mind as an extra motivator to vote 4 or 5 times on November 7th. Here's a lady mobile in Palm Beach. Hello.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
Let you listeners listen to this. Me and my husband would benefit from the Bush tax plan. We're part of the top 1%.
Me too.
And my husband is a staunch Republican. God help me. But we are voting for Gore.
How do you like that?
Yeah, for one reason only. My right to choose.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We just had a daughter, and my husband changed his tune. He was very vehement against abortion, but now changed his tune once he seen his little girl. He's like, God forbid if anything happens to her.
Right.
So let all you listeners open up their ears.
And did you notice how conspicuous it was by its absence that Jim Lehrer didn't pick any questions about abortion?
Right.
The other night?
Everybody was just so scared to take that subject. But I convinced my husband. He looked at his little girl. That's all it took. That's it.
Good for you.
Have a good day.
Vote early and often, sweetheart.
I will. Bye-bye.
Yeah, in fact, I think her little daughter that was just born is going to be voting, too, as a matter of fact. That's the way we're going to do it.
Oh!
You notice that's what Bush was scared of there at the end. If you're for my opponent, only vote once. Yeah, he's a real card, man. So now we're getting to the meat of the matter. More people think he's a likable guy, but that poll, contrary to that goofball there on CNN, what's his name, the one with the polls that I just mentioned before, and I can never think of his name with the glasses, the Jew, Bill Schneider. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and he's trying to make comparisons between Kennedy and Nixon and yada, yada. Well, the fact is that Kennedy and Nixon didn't bother to shave as usual, or looked like he didn't bother to shave, and it was because it was the first televised debate. It was a visual thing. Plus, of course, the fact that the old man bought up a couple of states to make sure that JFK won. Thank God. But I just love the way these so-called pundits, and Schneider is one of the worst of them, who's supposed to be the pollster maven. how they keep trying to draw comparisons between things that were like 40 years ago that have nothing to do with what's going on right now. And the only sad part about what's happening today is the market was off to a good start, and Alan Greenspan is going to open up his big mouth a little later today, and I have a feeling that all the gains we made this morning are going to wind up going down the turtle. I could be wrong, I hope. I'm going to get to this in a minute. From our children learning about the pollution and about the kids gagging and choking and not being able to breathe the goddamn air in Texas, largely due to his policies, which of course they don't discuss during these debates, because it might scare somebody. Here's a mobile in Hollywood. Hello.
Neil?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm glad the last couple of callers mentioned that about Chris Matthews' piece on MSNBC.
See, ordinarily I wouldn't be watching him because he makes my stomach turn.
Well, he does mine too. But when I saw what's his name, the movie guy on there,
Ebert.
And all of a sudden he started, Ebert, and he said, finally, I said, somebody is saying the opinion that I had about the debate. And he was saying the point that he made was, how would you like to have Bush on a plane going over to sit down across from the Barack and and have him try to mediate something, having this, because it's usually just the president and the two other sides. How would you like to have Bush in there?
He probably want to find out if the West Bank was a savings and loan.
I didn't really think about it.
And was his brother Neil involved in it?
Oh, it would be scary. And one more thing that I didn't hear anybody mention about the debate was that Bush, he said one thing, and then his next position was completely opposite. He said, we can't be the peacekeepers of the world, indicating that he doesn't want to put money into peacekeeping forces around the world where we're not involved in military exercises. But then the next time he said anything, he said, we have to keep the peace in the world. And I said, well, wait a minute, you can't be for both things. You either have to be you have to either keep.
Well, I don't know why you say that, because he's always telling us about how he believes in the people and are making our own choices, and then he turns around and says to women, oh, but when it comes to abortion, you can't make your own choices about your own body. So at least he's consistent. He's consistently full of crap.
Well, he needs to be kept his feet to the fire, and some of those journalists that he was making fun of, like, oh, they're just journalists. Well, they're the people that need to speak up and say, hey, he's saying one thing, and they turn around.
Well, when Gore does it, when Gore makes an exaggeration because he's given some bad information by his aides, or states something that like the girl in Sarasota, I'm going to say it again. She only stood in the class for one day. He got bum information, but the fact is, Sarasota newspaper had a big article about the fact that lots and lots of other kids in Sarasota High had to stand in a classroom days on end because there weren't enough seats in the classroom. They had no place to sit down. But the media, they tell you that like in 2 seconds or less, and the rest of the time, oh, he made another one of his mistakes. Yeah, he exaggerates at times. And again, largely because he gets bad advice. But he doesn't just come out and bald-faced lie like W does, like I just got through telling you about the crap that he did in Texas. Oh, yeah, Patience Bill of Rights, my fat ass. And the three murderers are going to got executed. Right. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, George. But for some reason, he's got the same Teflon that Ronnie had. He's got that Republican Teflon coating, and everything just seems to rub right off. 10 minutes after 11 at 560 WQA.
It just keeps getting bigger.
Good evening from the Clark Athletic Center at the University of Massachusetts in Boston. I'm Jim Lara of the NewsHour on PBS, and I welcome you to the first of 3 90-minute debates between the Democratic candidate for president, Vice President Al Gore, and the Republican candidate, Governor George W. Bush of Texas.
Let me just say that, Jim, if I could just
quickly, we need to move on. Yes,
I know that.
What do you?
Here's what I've said, Jim.
Jim.
Let me say something. Now, I understand.
All right.
Excuse me.
Jim, can I make one other point?
One quick thing, gentlemen. These are your rules. I'm doing my best. We're way over the 3.5. half. I have no problems with it, but you want to have a quick response and we'll move on. We're already almost 5 minutes on this. All right.
That's just totally false. Wait a minute, it's just totally false.
If I just briefly, Jim, I know.
Thank you, Governor Bush, Vice President Gore. See you next week. And for now, from Boston, I'm Jim Lara. Thank you and good night.
Nice going, Jim. That Jim Lara.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, make no mistake about that. Talk about a lightweight, featherweight. Here's Gail in the Gables who ordered her keychain and stuff off the internet and 10 days ago hasn't got it yet. And she wants us to check on it, which I will. She also says, P.S., George is a Jew hater. A few rubber bullets up his rectum might straighten him out. That's what Gail says in the Gables. She said you're a Jew hater. But anyway.
Screw her.
Also, thanks to my friend in Plantation, whoever it was, which I threw the cover page away, but thank you so much. Here's 6 pages on an article from Hustler magazine, so you know it must be accurate. Because they do have great articles. That's the only reason anybody would read it, for the articles, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what Anthony says. Behind the stained glass windows of the seminary, AIDS ravages the celibate Catholic priesthood by Jesse Oppenheimer. It's 6 pages, so I'm not going to read it on the air. I'll just read a couple of blurbs. The legs of an archbishop in Rome who died of AIDS were broken to make his death appear to have been the result of an accident. You go to any seminary, you feel like you're in a gay bar, says former Jesuit Robert Goss. I learned all my skills in cruising in a Jesuit rec room. Part of the time they're presenting this image of being chaste, and then they might be out going out that evening finding an outlet for sex. If there's a bright side to sexually transmitted diseases in the clergy, it may be that the church will finally be forced to deal with sexuality in an open way. And of course, here it is, only a couple of weeks ago, the church finally, for the first time, said, well, maybe condoms aren't, you're not going to go to hell after all. Because there's so much sexually transmitted disease going on, especially within the clergy, just like that says. I wonder when Larry Flint's going to come out with a good story. Any day now, I bet. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Our poll today, the United States is a slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags, 47. One of the safest, most civilized countries in the world, 34. And no better or worse than most countries for violence, 32. Again, we obviously have a lot of people out there who never even traveled north of the border. Remember the day we had that story, it was, I think, in USA Today about Windsor and Detroit? Windsor, Ontario? Anybody that's ever been to Detroit or to Windsor, more likely Detroit, but Windsor's right, side by side, right across the Ambassador Bridge from Detroit. And the statistics were adjusted based on population, which obviously Detroit's much bigger than Windsor, but even based on population, the statistics were staggering. It was like 1,000,000 to 1 in terms of murders in the previous year. I guess this was last year we read this, so like in 98. 1,000,000 to 1 Detroit, whereas Windsor had very, very minimal. And here they are geographically, side by side, separated only by a very small body of water there, and the Ambassador Bridge and the tunnel. Is there a tunnel there?
No.
I don't know. I don't remember. But I know there's the Ambassador Bridge. There's Windsor Raceway. There's my good friend Marty Adler. Yeah, let's get Marty on the air and talk harness racing for a while. I'd rather do that than talk about Israel.
Wait, now, you're missing the boat, goddammit. We want to hear about Israel, you forbidden son of a bitch. We want to hear about Israel. We want to go to a kibbutz. We want to send George there and make him my honorary rabbi.
I'd love to go to a kibbutz. I hear a lot of action there.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Especially the Hasidim. They don't have time to be in the military. They're too busy procreating.
I heard they have communal showers.
Here's a lady in Kendall. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's a pleasure to speak with you.
Yes, it is.
I really mean it. I admire you very, very much. And I'd like to make a comment. My phone is being ringing very, very often now. And I was shocked when the other day I lift the phone and it said, "This is Mrs. Bush. I like to tell you," and I just hang up. Can you imagine? She is calling people.
Mrs. Bush was calling you?
Yes.
Maybe she wanted to offer you $200 or $300.
I don't know what you want, but I didn't want to have anything to hear.
I don't blame you.
So I hang up right away.
Mm-hmm.
But they call here constantly for Bush. Who are you? What do you like? And who are you going to vote for Bush? And that is all the time.
I'll guarantee you they're not calling me asking me what I like.
I tell you one thing. These people are spending a lot of money. Letters, too. they're spending a lot of money with all these gadgets.
Yeah.
They really are.
I think they are. I think based on the calls we've been getting the last few days, it sounds to me like the Bush people are really getting panicky now.
Yes.
Especially after they saw me the other night and saw what a jerk he looked like.
That's right.
Okay, sweetheart, hang in there.
Okay,
Just say no to Barbara. Okay. That's our message to all you people out there. Just say no to Barbs, to Babs. I still say she is on the dollar bill. 5670560, pound 560. Oh, I got time now. We got some calls on there, but you'll have to wait. Or not, as the case may be. This is more important. From Is Our Children Learning by Paul Begala. In fact, we even have a jingle that says, if I can find the goddamn thing. Where the hell is that? We're number one. Oh, God almighty. I don't have the time to find these goddamn. Where is that, George? What are you looking for? We're number one, damn it. Why can't I find that? Oh, there it is. One moment, please. I got it.
We're number one, damn it!
And that's what this particular passage, the heading is. We're number one. Houston passes Los Angeles as the dirtiest city in America. And remember I mentioned coming back from Vegas on the plane, there was a big front page article in the LA Times about this? Paul Begala says, I grew up in a little town not far from Houston. Houston is a great city full of piss and vinegar. As any Houstonian will tell you, the first word spoken from the surface of the moon was Houston. And yet Houston has always had something of an inferiority complex. The Dallas Cowboys were always winning Super Bowls. The Houston Oilers even never went to the Super Bowl unless they moved to Al Gore's Nashville. So Houston yearns for recognition, but not this kind. In 1999, Houston overtook Los Angeles as the city with the dirtiest air in America. Houston had the most violations of federal health ozone standards. It also had a higher number of peak days than Los Angeles. Ozone is really nasty stuff. It's a key component of smog and a respiratory irritant. Breathing it is painful, dirty, and dangerous. A 1999 study conducted by the city of Houston shows that Houston's air pollution may have caused at least 435 premature deaths and as many as 1,196 new cases of chronic bronchitis annually. Dirty air is also expensive. Houston has spent between $2.9 billion and $3.1 billion on health problems attributable to the city's ozone and airborne particles. Hundreds of people dead before their time, thousands sick with bronchitis, and billions spent to deal with it. He says, I hope the Bush campaign chokes on its own dirty money. If it seems like I'm getting personal to you, it is because this is personal to me. I have 8 nieces and nephews, soon to be 9, growing up in Texas. 4 of them soon to be 5 in the Houston area. These babies have to breathe the crap and crud that Bush's contributors are spewing into the air. So when I see statistics about hundreds of people dying before their time and thousands more fighting bronchitis for their next breath, these aren't just statistics to me. They're potentially my nieces, my nephews, brothers and sister-in-law, or my dad retired in fishing in Galveston. Of course, my family's kids aren't the only ones at risk. As a result of Bush's flawed plan, almost 230,000 Texas children in 7 urban counties may be exposed to as much as 295,000 tons of air pollution each year because they attend schools within 2 miles of older industrial plants that are under Bush's voluntary permit program. And who to flunk it, it seems that almost none of the schools that are next to the filth-spewing factories are elite private academies. Can you imagine the coincidence? Stunning, isn't it? So once again, under the compassionate conservative, it's the poor who suffer the most. A 1999 study found that 10% of the Hispanic and African-American children in Houston's inner city suffer from asthma, twice the level previously measured just 2 years before. Asthma sufferers are especially threatened by increases in ozone levels, as these pollutants are known to irritate the condition and trigger attacks. It's not just asthma sufferers who are harmed by this. In 1999, ozone in Houston was so bad that Harris County Judge Robert Eccles announced a new system to notify area schools when the smog levels made it dangerous for students to practice sports outside. On high smog days, let's call them Bush days, athletes had experienced coughing fits and other respiratory problems, according to the Houston Chronicle. It's outrageous. How would you feel if your son was a high school athlete getting sick just from breathing the air at football practice? To give you an idea of how bad it is, the national standard for ozone is 125 parts per billion. The highest reading in Deer Park, a blue-collar part of Houston, was 251 parts per billion in October of last year. And there's no doubt that Bush bears responsibility for this. A coalition of 44 environmental groups called the Texas Air Crisis Campaign released in 1999 a report detailing how Texas air quality had deteriorated under Bush. We believe the air crisis is due to the intentional act and conscious indifference of Governor Bush, his appointees to the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission, and the legislature. There are both sins of omission and sins of emission, said Meg Hayne of the campaign. The group blasted Bush's poor vehicle emissions program and is allowing grandfathered companies to continue polluting with no mandatory regulations. And yet Bush doesn't seem to care. Texas cities have repeatedly failed federal emission standards since 1994, and Bush did little about the problem. A city is demoted in air pollution status by the federal government if it exceeds permissible ozone limits more than once a year from 1994 to 96. Dallas, for example, exceeded them 9 times in 1994, 15 times in 95, and 4 times in 1996. In 1999, Bush's environmental administrators claimed they didn't have enough warning to get a clean air plan together. Not enough warning? Didn't the 28 violations in 3 years kind of give you a clue, George? Didn't it help?
No.
So that's our 2 pages for today. And you really ought to go out and get the book. If you have any doubts, if you're still legitimately on the fence. And don't give me the people in those focus groups who lied about being on the fence. They're all full of crap on both sides. They're all, oh yeah, well we are really, we got our fingers crossed, our legs crossed, but we really are undecided. Yeah. Wonder how much they had to pay to be in that, schoolhouse. 26 after 11 at 560 WQM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560. QAM.
You're a bastard. You're gay.
Yes.
This ain't a song about a happy couple. Since we got married, my wife's weight doubled. Size like a tree, and she's got a big tush. Her stomach so flabby that it covers her bush. It's my wife. I know she's fat 'cause she got more chins than China does. If she sits on me, I won't survive. It's my wife. Sits around the house. She really sits around the house, you see. If she sits on me, I won't survive. It's my wife.
11:31 at 560 WQAM. Man walks up to a woman in his office each day, stands very close to her, draws in a large breath of air, and tells her that her hair smells nice. After a week of this, she can't stand it any longer. The woman goes into her supervisor's office and tells him that she wants to file a sexual harassment suit against him and explains why. The supervisor is puzzled by this and says, "What's wrong with your coworker telling you that your hair smells nice?" The woman replies, "He's a midget." Old? Not cute. It's marginal. Look for the QM van from now till 1 o'clock at the Hooters on the corner of Pines and University in Pembroke Pines. They got your Best of Neil CDs and cassettes and those keychains and the Best of Neil t-shirts for this year, too, which are really nifty if I say so myself.
$200 so far.
Not too scintillating. Oh, they just got there? Oh, they're kind of like my maid, huh? Arrive late, leave early. Anyway, get them while they're hot, says this fax. Al Gore campaign headquarters now open in West Broward. Come in and get front lawn signs ready to go with post, Gore bumper stickers, and the ever-popular Read My Lips, No New Bushes stickers in right now. I hope they get some of those Gore and Gornish buttons, too. Those are the best. Located at 5261 Coconut Creek Parkway in Margate, directly across from the Margate Post Office, open right now with your Gore paraphernalia. How's that poll coming, Neil? I'm glad you asked. The United States is no better or worse than most countries for violence, 36. One of the safest, most civilized countries in the world, 39. A slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags, 57. 5670560. Notice all the calls we had about that kid from Italy, the tourist that got shot and went home in a wheelchair, paralyzed for the rest of his life?
We're going to start a new band called,
yeah. Crip Wops. The Crip Wops.
Gimpy Guidos.
Gimpy Guineas. Here's Cutler Ridge. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Hi. Thanks
Hello.
for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I've been holding a while. I've got a couple of points. The one thing that I wonder about is it seems like when you become president, they can certainly delve into your personal life big time. I mean, with Clinton, his sexcapades, everything. Now, there's this thing with Governor Bush about coke use and alcoholism, but they seem to be avoiding all these issues here.
Oh, see, this is the approach. They don't want to make any personal attacks, and by doing that, I think that they're parlaying themselves into a real life and death struggle. It could be very one-sided.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, I watch these debates, and it's really hard to watch. They both seem like idiots. But this guy, Bush, comes across like like he needs someone on the sideline to tell him what to say.
Coach him, yeah.
And, you know, it's just ridiculous. I just wish we had, just keep Clinton.
Okay, I'll pass it along. Call the White House, George. Tell them we want them to stay. Don't leave yet, Bubba. Probably can find some slut around this place who would be glad to go up there and service him another 4 years. 567-0560. All of a sudden here, I read that page or two, and now everybody went away. And like I said, that's okay. I don't care. I'd rather read that important stuff. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless and Verizon wireless line. Out of town is open, like over there on the West Coast, where they're always belly aching about they can't hear the show, and now they can. 877-785-6345. Hank will be at the Dave & Buster's at 2. He'll be with Beano Cook. Big fat Beano Cook between 5 and 6. Hurricane Hotline at 6, and then we got Thursday Night Football Lions at the Bucks at 8. Eddie K after the game. That's our agenda. Here's Miami. Hello.
Yes, how you doing today, Neil?
All right.
Just basically, I'm calling to tell you why the air in Houston is so damn polluted. One of the first bills when Governor Bush went into office was the emission test. He cut it out. Same thing his brother just did this past summer in Florida, put a lot of people out of jobs, including myself. And I'm just telling people, these guys don't care about the environment, not one bit. Just like Big Brother do, Little Brother do.
They want to let their friends in big business pollute away to their heart's content. Well, good luck to you, pal.
Okay, man.
And watch where you stick that tube. Okay. See, I was just starting to get to like my friends there at the emissions place. They all listened to the show. They were big fans. And then all of a sudden, Jeb said, no more of that. Am I sad by that?
No.
No. But the fact is, see, the emissions thing ought to be part of a total vehicle inspection test. And the fact that let's do that poll tomorrow. Should we have mandatory vehicle inspection in Florida? Not just the emissions thing.
Brakes.
Headlights.
Lights.
Yeah, tail lights.
Yeah.
Ball tires.
Yes.
All of these things. Front end alignments. All these things that they do in real states. And I don't want to hear the stories about how corrupt it was in New York or Pennsylvania. See, if that's going to be the excuse, then you don't do anything. We just have anarchy. There's a right way to do things, and there's a wrong way. And if you have competent leadership, they learn from the mistakes in the states that are doing it wrong. You pick and choose. You take the good parts that are working well elsewhere, and you discard the parts that aren't working. That's how, like Ross Perot said, roll up your sleeves and get out of the engine and stick your head in there. Something like that. And hope your ears don't get in the way. But no, not in Florida. And that's why, and of all states in the world not to have mandatory vehicle inspection, with all the geeks that we have, I don't want you to take it personally, but you know if you can't drive for crap, you know. And I'm here to tell you that most of you can't. You can't drive for a Schmidt. I'm coming to work this morning, and I get off of 595 out of the turnpike, and as I'm swinging onto the turnpike there, everybody around me, with maybe one or two exceptions, they're driving like assholes, and I'm screaming in the car, what is wrong with you people? It's one thing if one or two people are driving like erratic and really unacceptable. That's always going on. But I'm talking about a whole bunch of these people. Just veering all over the road and going either too fast or too slow, and you're kind of like in the middle of it, like, please, just don't hit me, I'm not ready yet. And that's what goes on here. You get a driver's license in a Cracker Jacks box as soon as you get off the banana boat. Then you mail in when you get to be 95 years old, or better yet, now on the internet, just like you renew your license like I did for 6 years. My mother tells me that somebody she knows, 90 years old, just got a 6-year renewal in the mail. 90 years old, just got a 6-year driver's license renewal in the mail.
She'll be driving after she's dead.
I'm sure of that. When she's 140, she'll still be getting a new one in the mail every 4 years. So not only do we have vehicle inspection, and of course not even to mention that in Dade County we still have, I'm sure, way more than 50% driving around in violation of the law with no insurance. Guaranteed. So the fact that they're driving erratic, and if they do hit you and you manage to survive, oh yeah, but I'll collect from the insurance. Guess what? Hope that your insurance covers it, because if theirs doesn't, they don't have any. Oh no, you're wrong. It's a pain in the ass. It's really time consuming, and we don't want to be bothered. Well, that's great. If you just want to go ahead and drive your little beat-up old brown Corollas, killing people out there on the road, if you want to be 100 years old, deaf, dumb, blind, no arms, no legs, and get a driver's license every 6 years, well, fine. You're in the perfect place for it. 21 before noon at 560 WQAM.
Don't know how we do it. a McDonald's or a Big Mac. When you rip this Leon, easy to see why girls wanna hold. My stomach kick butt on the sloppy backseat boy. You're all we ever wanted. You're all we ever needed. Yeah. It's there on watch, board,
It's 11:44, 560 WQM. Look at this. Here's somebody also didn't get their stuff yet. Well, give us a few days, you know what I'm saying? Give us a few minutes. Like the lady who faxed you, I ordered your best of at neilrogers.com. Still haven't received it. The charge hasn't even gone through on my credit card because you follow up, etc. It's my 30th birthday today, says Jason. Happy birthday, Jason, and hang on tight, and you'll get it. And the CD, too. Right? I mean, are they sending him out from in there?
Yeah.
Well, get that nephew on a stick in there already, for Christ's sakes. Don't forget the QM. What?
That's Miguel's job.
Well, Miguel is out there driving it in the van, too. He's out spreading it around. It is Miguel's job? Well, don't be picking on him. Like I said, Jason, hold your horses. But happy birthday anyway. From now till 1 o'clock at the Hooters. See, that's the way I am. You know, if somebody looks good-looking guy, I cut him a lot of slack. If they're ugly, like the nephew, I'm sorry. Don't forget, from now till 1 o'clock, they're out there, the QM van, with all our stuff. Hooters on the corner of Pines and University in Pembroke Pines. CDs, cassettes, those keychains, and those nifty T-shirts, which I absolutely love. Let's see if you got the balls to wear one in public. See, this is part of the problem out there with all these nervous Nellies who listen to this show and don't want to admit it. Oh, I wouldn't wear one of those Neil Rogers T-shirts because everybody think I'm a fag. Yeah.
Nervous Neelies?
Nervous Neelies, right. Well, maybe they just know it. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Pretty damn good.
Come from your favorite retail outlet, Borders.
All right.
Exactly.
They love me at Borders.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, we have new management, but it probably doesn't mean anything. Anyways, another name for your Italian band, the Wimpy Wops.
Yeah.
Anyways, basically just calling to tell you that there's a great website put up by the Democratic National Committee called www.iknowwhatyoudidintexas.com. Yeah, it's good. It's laid out like a movie poster for the...
It's probably even scarier than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It basically is. There's a funny graphic on it with him and money raining down and blood. And anyways, it basically just tells you his record in Texas on any issue imaginable. So it's pretty good. Just check it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. See ya. 5-6, got 400 open lines here today. We're building a little bit of momentum, and this audience, they're laying back. I got news for you bushmongers out there. You think that you're just going to waltz your way in here because, well, the other guy's a wooden statue, and you're catching them in these little exaggerations. Well, I got news for you. When it gets real close to November 7th, people are going to take a look at this bumbling idiot. They're going to listen to all of his malapropisms. They're going to take a look at his real record because the facts are going to start coming out. And they're going to say, you know, I'm not so sure I want him to be the one over there negotiating in the Middle East where he couldn't even find it on the map. I'm not so sure I want him with his bogus Social Security plan and all these other... He's the one with the fuzzy math and the hocus pocus. And they're going to say, I don't think so. Because you hear people keep asking this, is he up to the job? And just like... the book said that I was reading from the other day, when you start asking that question, is he up to the job, and it was a Begala's book, the answer is obviously no. Because if you have to ask the question in the first place, it means you really already know the answer. Absolutely not. And for the guy that called me 400 times in the last 2 days, that first guy with his song and dance about how they reelected him, well, let me just suggest this to you, sir. If Ted Kennedy were running against George W., and I tried to make the argument to you that Ted Kennedy's gotten reelected to the Senate 150,000 times since Chappaquiddick and in spite of Chappaquiddick because they think he's the greatest goddamn senator since they invented sliced bread. You'd say, oh, he's a murderer, he's a liberal. Yeah, that's right. Who the hell are you kidding? In addition to which, looking at it conversely, did they reelect Mario Cuomo in New York? No. They elected a putz. Does that mean that I don't like Mario Cuomo because the voters in New York are too stupid to realize they have one of the most brilliant men in their country as their governor? I don't give a crap about that. I want to see what the man's all about. I want to listen to him speak. I want to read about what his record is. I don't want to hear a song and a dance about how the voters, the yahoos in Texas, with their hook 'em frickin' horns, how they put him back in there again. Yeah, hook 'em horns. With their goddamn prayers at their football games and their other high priorities. Pile of crap. The only thing in Texas that's worth a hoot is Austin, Texas. Oh, don't tell that to, what's her name? Christened, that bitch. I mean, what is her name? Ashley. See, out of sight, out of mind. You forgot all about cutecouple.com, about our good friends.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if they're doing it anymore.
No.
I doubt it.
Oh, I never catch them.
You think he's making love to that spot on her back again? Or maybe he's making love to Spot. I didn't know they had a dog. Here's Davey. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Listen, to shift gears a little bit, I have a hockey question for you.
All right.
Now, you're a big
Do we have a team anymore?
I don't know. I'm a Blackhawks fan myself.
Oh, yeah, and hey, look at that great attendance there in Chicago. 8,000 empty seats again here last night.
Yeah. Listen, back in the early 60s, you're a Maple Leafs fan, right?
Yes, 1961, the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup.
Right. I think it was 61 or 62 when the Leafs won the Cup. Was there
62.
Right. There was a player on that team. I think his name was Bill Barichko.
No, Bill Barilko was not in 62. Bill Barilko, it was in 49. He died in a plane crash. He scored the winning goal. 49, not 62.
Oh,
before I was 7 years old.
Oh.
And you were probably an embryo.
Right. A plane crash, huh?
Yeah, after the Leafs won the Stanley Cup that year, he scored the winning goal, I think in overtime, I'm not sure, and he died in a plane crash.
Right.
Young guy.
There's a song about it. The group is Tragically Hip.
Right.
They wrote a song
I've
about
heard that.
Right. And lastly, can I have a request? Could you
Yes,
play
sir.
something maybe? That I don't know what you call it. It's that tape where it's like an instructional tape where several ways to use the F word,
Okay, you got it.
Adjective. Thanks.
Okay.
F Bush.
Okay. That's another good way to use it right there.
Oh!
Just say F to Bush. Or just say F-U. Or as that professor said, Professor Marino, F-I-U. Or as Macy Gray said, F-F-I-U. Yeah, that's what she kept saying. That. Well, what did that mean? Of course, we don't know what any of Macy Gray's songs mean, but I still like her. She's okay in my book. Love you, Macy. Yeah, you is. 567-0560, pound 560. Well, she ain't no, what's that other one that won all the awards?
Warren Hill.
Oh, man. Whoa. I feel like Gordon Stevie at 60-40. Wow.
Wailing, caterwauling.
Not as wailing as Mariah Carey, though.
No.
Wailing, screaming, shrieking, just butchering. Poor Westlife. And you notice Mariah Carey now, first it was with 98 Degrees and Your Mama, she did that song, which was an okay song if you took, see, if you got one of those machines where you can take certain parts of the vocals out and eliminate her, some of her music is pretty good with her off of it. But every song is, just screaming and wailing and puking and destroying the song. But she's teaming up with all that light now with Westlife, who have broken every record. Of course, over here we try to give Kid Scurvy Westlife, which I think he played it once and then got panicky about it. He played Darude, which John gave him Darude, and now everybody at Power 96 is dying to hear that song. If he played more of that European music that we bring in here, maybe Power 96 would have a 90 share. I mean, they're doing okay, but they could be doing a lot better if he had a little more balls. That's what his new wife said. If he had like one ball would be good. His 10-year-old wife. But Westlife broke even the Beatles records. 5 songs, singles released in a row, #1, first week on the chart in England. And now the 6th one, this is 6 because this is with Mariah Carey. So it's like 5.5 because she's on there. That bitch. Wailing and puking and screaming and just awful. Couldn't sing if you stuck a goddamn Uzi up her rectum ass. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Neil, this morning you said something. You mentioned Ann Richards, and you mentioned Neil Bush.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at something here. If you want to put the fox to take care of chicken, you put George Bush. Now, I'm looking at, first of all, he wants to send the money back to the people. He wants to privatize the Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
He also wants to invest the money. Now, you can imagine him putting all his Texas people to take care of all these things. Otherwise, if a corporation wants to have a dummy at the top and they'll be running it, this is what we're going to have. Everybody knows he's dumb. I mean, this is not getting anywhere. If we can get to something else so that people can really see what's happening. So, I know you're doing the best you could, Neil.
I'm doing the best I can, man.
You know, but this is the one thing that I'm looking at. I can't understand it. I look at I think his father's going to be the president. He's just going to be there, maybe make the speeches. So
yeah, he's just going to be the face man. Yeah, Daddy's going to be in there with his good buddy Dick Cheney. Is going to be Daddy and Dick are going to be running the country again. I think you're right.
You see, because
and Martha.
He himself tells the people that he's not smart because he says his mother said the same thing. When Ann Richards told him that he had 5 failures and that he was $370 million, He said that he was proud of it.
Yeah.
In spite of that,
just like he's proud of being a dumb student.
you know, if the people was to be able to see that debate with him and Ann Richards, you would know the whole thing. You see, just like you, I thought that Neil was the one that had all these failures. I didn't know that he was the one. And she pointed out that he was the administrators of two of these corporations that he had.
Yeah.
So thank you, Neil.
Good luck for once, pal.
All right.
Oh, there's a guy that's going to vote about 6 or 7 times. Yeah, I think we can feel a little more relaxed. I don't want anybody to ease up on it, but I think the fact that all the grown people are voting 7 or 8 times, and the native people at the last minute they'll say, "I'm not going to throw away my vote." Well, what's the point? This business of making a statement or having some kind of a Pyrrhic victory, what's the point? He's not. I'll say it again. Ralph Nader will not carry one county in one state in the country. Not one. Not one district. Not one block. He will not carry. Neither will Pat Buchanan. Neither will that Fudge Brown, the Libertarian candidate. And Gus Hall, the Communist candidate, he's the dead. What's the point? Oh, now we're going to make a statement. We're going to show you. Yeah, okay. You're going to show how you know that song by Luther Campbell, As Stupid as They Want to Be? 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. I've got to go for therapy again today. I'll see my good friend Jean Louise. I'll give you your best. Maybe she can fix your thumb. How's your thumb doing?
Oh, it's all
healed up?
Once I pulled it out of my ass,
I finally wised up. People that shake my hand, like the one this morning out there, the soccer guy. I say, I'll give you my left hand because the right one is still healing up. Because it seems now, they must know, the sadists out there. I mean, they get a hold of it and they're really squeezing it hard. And the hand, too. Damn, don't squeeze so hard.
Of course, if Bob Neal shook your hand, you wouldn't feel it.
Wimp.
Shit.
No, don't rip at them now.
I don't care if we go. I'm not going to suck up to them. Are you kidding me? I'm going to suck up to those fakers over there at Cox Broadcasting. They make me sick to my stomach. Oh, call Bob Neal and wish him happy birthday. And Cheryl and Bob Green over there playing these little games. Oh, yeah, let's have Neal suck up to Bob Neal. Neal and Neal. Up to Bob Neal up there in Atlanta. He's about 2 feet tall and comes up to my knee. Like to kick him in the nuts if he had any.
You know that the Lord even loves Neil Rogers.
Perhaps one of the most interesting words in the English language today is the word f***. Out of all of the English words that begin with the letter F, f*** is the only word that is referred to as the F word. It's the one magical word. Just by its sound can describe pain, pleasure, hate, and love. As most words in the English language, is derived from German, the word flicken, which means to strike. In English, f*** falls into many grammatical categories. As a transitive verb, for instance, John f***ed Shirley. Its meaning's not always sexual. It can be used as an adjective, such as, John's doing all the f***ing work. As part of an adverb, Shirley talks too f***ing much. As an adverb enhancing an adjective, Shirley is f***ing beautiful. As a noun, I don't give a f***. As part of a word, abso-f***ing-lutely, or incredible. And as almost every word in a sentence, f*** the f***ing f***ers. As you must realize, there aren't too many words with the versatility of f***, as in these examples describing situations such as fraud. I got f***ed at the used car lot. Dismay. Oh, f*** it. Trouble. I guess I'm really f***ed now. Aggression. Don't f*** with me, buddy. Dismissal. Why don't you go outside and play hide and go f*** yourself? I'm sure you can think of many more examples. Say it loudly and proudly. You.
All right. 1202 at 560 WQM. So should we do midget story number 2? It's got to be better than number 1 because you gave me a real bad. Well, it's old. A midget goes to the doctor's office and complains, "Doctor, my balls are killing me. The pain is incredible." The doctor grabs the midget under his armpits, puts him on the examination table, pulls his undies down and says, hold on a minute. He wheels his car with his doctor's instruments on it in and says, "Let's see, stand still." He looks at his left side and where the scissors goes snip, snip. Looks on the right side where the scissors goes snip, snip. The doc grabs the midget, puts him back on the floor and says, "All right, walk around a little bit." The midget strolls around, now with a smile on his face says, "Hey, doc, I feel great. What did you do?" To which the doctor replies, "I took 2 inches off your cowboy boots." Not bad. We're getting there. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's Mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hi, how you doing, Neil?
All right.
In regard to your poll today, and also in regard to the guy that called yesterday, said he didn't like Amsterdam.
Yeah, he said we're talking about how dangerous it was.
Yeah, dangerous. First of all, Amsterdam is one of the few civilized cities. It's not the only civilized city in the world, for the simple reason that they legalized marijuana many years ago, and you can sit outside on the pavement and smoke a spliff and nobody bothers you. And that's one reason alone why it's more civilized than this country. But anyway, you know, you say a lot of people haven't been out of it. They obviously haven't been north of Palm Beach County.
Correct.
They don't know. I've lived in a few different places. I've lived in England. I've lived in Italy. I've lived in South America. Although I'm an American. And I got to tell you, when it comes down to it, the bottom line is the USA is the best place to live. For a number of reasons. I mean, if you're wealthy enough to be able to afford to spend, 6 months of the year out of the country and get a break, fantastic.
Sounds good to me.
But it's easier.
I'm up to about 3 months myself.
Life is so much easier in this country. We have it so good here compared to...
Life is easier? You mean like walking around on the streets and waiting to see if somebody's going to blow your brains out, or waiting to see if your kids are going to come home alive from school every day?
Well, yeah, there is that. Of course there's that. But, let's be honest. As long as you know which part of town you're supposed to avoid.
Oh, you mean like a Columbine? Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous school.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's a terrible problem. I've been saying that for years. Guns should be banned here. But there's nothing you can do about that. You got all these people saying...
And the million people that are in jails and prisons in this country for drugs?
Yeah, I know. That's also wrong. There's lots of wrong things about this country.
But we do have a lot of strip shopping centers, and it is much more convenient, and we have a better selection of food. I would agree with that. And that's about it. I don't know how you could say that.
Well, that's not it, actually. There's lots of other things.
I mean, you lived in England, so I would agree that any place would probably be an improvement over England, so that's not a very valid comparison.
No, I'm saying Italy.
Yeah.
You ever tried going to the post office there?
There is a lot of red tape in Italy. I would agree with that. Everything's a big on end. I love visiting Italy, but I would never want to live there.
Right.
I've gone to the post office in Amsterdam. It's not really very complicated.
No, there it's pretty straightforward. And as far as Gush and Bohr go, what a pair. I mean, what a choice we've got.
Okay, I'll see you in Liberty City. 5670560 pound. See, there you go, Neil. There's the guy that's lived over there, and he's telling it like it is. You're full of crap. Okay. 5670560 pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. That's as close as we've had to anybody responding in any way about the Italian kid, because you're too embarrassed by it. And actually, I wouldn't want to say anything about it either if I lived in the slaughterhouse. And this guy's response about the guns is, well, there's nothing we can do about it. That sounds promising. That sounds real assuring to me. It's like that broad that called a day or two ago, give me a song to dance about sticking her foot in the door there and trying to give me a lecture on Israel and how I really ought to go there. You know what the answer is, sweetheart? No. Absolutely, positively, no. It will not happen. Not this week, not next Sukkot, not a week from next to Rosh Hashanah. It ain't going to happen. I'm not going to Israel. If you want to go there and be a professional jet ski, go right ahead. If you want to be there as a moving target, go right ahead. But they got those beaches. And why do you have to go there to be a moving target when we're here in the U.S.? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where target practice is every day, every place. You don't have to go over there to get blown up either. The beach is here. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless. Remember, even Israel didn't want him. Yeah, that's right. They even kicked his ass out. Hyman Roth, a.k.a. Meyer Lansky. They said, I'll go back to Miami Beach and walk your dog on Collins Avenue. Those old farts will love you. And they did. Here's a lady mobile in Coral Springs. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get to hear the beginning of your show, but I was pretty stunned during the debates when nobody commented on Bush's discussion of faith-based programs, because the last time I looked, there was still separation of church and state in the United States. It's a theme that's been recurring in a lot of his
because Gore again wussed out on that because he's so terrified to say anything to ruffle the feathers of the religious nuts out there, so he runs away from that.
Absolutely. But my big gripe was with that fraud-faced bimbo who had an opportunity to stand up and ask a meaningful question, and instead came up with this crap. And in part, I blame Lehrer because he picked those questions.
That's correct. Jim
about
Lehrer
this
destroyed
nonsense.
those debates.
How do we protect our children? And
right.
And I guess it only confirms this private theory that I've held for years that most women are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have to say about that debate. Thanks
Okay.
for listening.
Thanks. Okay, there you go. An unsolicited comment from the lady herself. Most women are assholes, she said. Although it's interesting that most women are astute enough that the majority of them are going to vote for Gore, and most men seem to be, yeah, they like that. They like that Texas down-home, shoot-'em-up kind of mentality, you know? NRA, Mr. Macho, anti-abortion, so we can really stick it back to the women, so to speak. 4,500 open lines here at this point, which again just astonishes the hell out of me, but do I really care? No, I'm just doing the best I can in my own little way, in my own little neck of the worlds here, worlds. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line, and the out-of-town line has been pathetic. 877-785-6345. So pathetic. The last call I recall on that was that idiot from Milwaukee allegedly yesterday with his Ann Richards the Communist routine. You ought to get a sit-down comedy job, pal. You're fantastic.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560. QAM.
This is the most disgusting program.
Yes.
I urge everyone to complain to this station.
Now, the Aflac casting call.
All right, Tom Brokaw.
Tom Brokaw. Aflac.
Again, Tom.
Aflac.
One more time, Tom.
Aflac.
I'm losing the second part. One more.
Aflac.
Next. Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Yes, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Stop saying what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what I'm saying. Aflac.
Again.
Aflac.
Again.
Aflac.
Next. Jesse Jackson.
Aflac.
The Aflac. Jesse, I'm sorry, but the duck is white. Next. Woody Allen.
She's nuts. I mean, it's a duck that talks.
Stick to the script, Mr. Allen.
It's crazy. It's insanity.
Read the line, please.
Why would a duck speak?
Next.
Nuts.
The great Sean Connery, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Sean Connery.
Welcome, sir. Just read the line, please.
Aflac.
Excuse me, sir, again?
Aflac.
Sir, I'm sorry. That second part of the line, I don't...
I'm simply saying Aflac.
Next! Oh, God. I guess we got Gilbert Gottfried over here. All right, give it to me, Gilbert.
Aflac.
One more time, Gilbert.
Aflac.
Well, Gilbert, I pretty much hate you, and I think you're terrible, but you're the closest thing we got. You got the job.
Okay, 12:14 at 560 WQAM. How's Miguel doing over there at the QAM van at the Hooters? Corner of Pembroke Pines and University in, corner of what? Pines and University in Pembroke Pines. Get it right, asshole. We got the CDs, the best Neil cassettes. Keychains, if I can find my little one here. And those nippy t-shirts, too, till 1 o'clock. Here's a mobile in Coral Springs. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes.
Did you happen to read the New York Post today?
No, I did not.
Okay. Z100, the radio station.
Yeah.
They're running a contest. It's called the $100,000 Thursdays.
Uh-huh.
Where every hour they're giving away $10,000 to the 25th caller.
Right.
And they're making it sound like it's for local, it's for us. What they're doing, and they're not telling anybody, is that Clear Channel Communications is running this contest through all 100 stations they own. And
it's like playing Quartermania in Vegas. You think you have a chance to walk casino. No, seriously, and the jackpot is in every casino in the state. Right. Same thing.
And they're going to do all 50 attorney generals are going to sue the company because they're not even letting you know who's winning the contest.
So they haven't learned their lesson. I mean, they ran into this a couple of months ago, and they're doing the same thing
They're
again.
doing the same thing again.
Nice going, Cheap Channel.
Isn't it great?
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Thanks for the good news.
Take care, man.
Nice going, Pete Bolger. Want to think? All you other Cheap Channel assholes. What an outfit. And isn't that the same Cheap Channel that we read the other day that they were cutting staff dramatically in New York at all their stations up there, and morale is at an all-time low and people are foaming at the mouth? Yeah, that's the same Cheap Channel, ain't it? Huh. Speaking of the Post, somebody faxed this to me from today's Post. 29 Palms, California is the name of the joint. A couple charged with chaining their two sons to bedposts had a third child who died about 10 years ago and is believed to be buried on their property, authorities said yesterday. Investigators found what they believe is the boy's grave Tuesday. Bone fragments were found Wednesday, but not immediately confirmed as human, said Cindy Beavers, a spokeswoman for the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. John Davis, 51, and Kerry Davis, 41, told investigators that the boy, Rainbow Lord, was sickly and died when he was about 6. Deputies came to the house Saturday after the couple's 17-year-old son, Yahweh, called 911, not 316, but 911, to say he and his 12-year-old brother, Angel, were chained up in their bedroom. Must be just a coincidence that they had all those biblical, fanatical, hocus-pocus names. Yeah, just another coincidence. Just like all them priests getting AIDS. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. Line 9 is, what is that number? Oh, there's a call from Orlando. What if that's going to be a real call? That won't be talking about radio. Here's Miami. Hello.
But I got to do something. I got to do something. You guys are being intimidated by these Republicans down here. I'm not intimidated by anyone. Well, all right, fine. I appreciate your support very much. I want to see what will come out of this, because I'll look at the newspaper in the next few days to see what comes out of it. So, you know, because this should have a follow-up. We can't, we don't control the press. Nobody says control the press, but let them be biased. Let them not be biased. Right. Let them be fair. Let's get fair reporting. But what she said, well, I can't write everybody's name up. She said 3 paragraphs of things here for Bush. Right. It's statewide, countywide.
Okay, don't interrupt him. He's doing a good job, whoever he's bitching out. And let me say it again. Bill Snyder and you fakers on CNN with all your likability polls, okay? Stop trying to make a case there, because that's not what it's going to be all about. You can bet your bottom dollar, because if that's what it's all about, the actual poll about who you're going to vote for would reflect that. Does it reflect that?
No.
No, asshole. So quit trying to spin it before they spin your ass into the goddamn ground. Boy, are they doing a job. Here's the Redlands. Hello.
Morning. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good evening. How you doing?
A couple of things that no one seems to have mentioned. By the way, I was a Gore supporter because of, well, we have no choice to begin with, and he looked like the lesser of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I changed my mind 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I am going to vote for Bush.
Well, how sad.
Yeah, I know, but it's strictly because of the censorship thing, the possibility that what Tipper Gore pulled off.
Well, what do you mean, what Tipper Gore? What about Lynn Cheney? If we're going to go to wives, what about her? She's in the same vein.
I didn't know that.
Of course she is.
I didn't know that.
She was right there when McCain had the hearings in the Senate. Lynn Cheney was there speaking that day, right alongside Tipper Gore and all these other crazy people.
Oh, jeez, man. So we really have no choice.
Right, that is correct. The one thing we have is both parties, said this before, a couple weeks ago, both parties this year believe in censorship and want to destroy the First Amendment.
Okay. Well, one thing that no one's brought up yet, and the other night's debate was, what's his name, Lair, just blew the whole thing. So both of the candidates the other night mentioned that our commitment to Israel and all this crap in the Middle East and what's going on over there. How's the Arab nations going to view of Orthodox Jews as a possibility of being our president? That's going to cause all kinds of problems.
Well, there was a big article in Newsweek this week that I just got yesterday. I was telling George before the show that the Arab vote is going to be very significant, that there's like 1.5 million Arabs in this country.
I never thought about that.
In states like Michigan, there happen to be quite a few, and Michigan is like razor close right now, real thin margin one way or the other.
Really?
And, of course, you remember that in the first debate, Bush made the comment about how we have to stop discrimination, not just against black people, but against Arab Americans and yada yada. And he's been pandering them pretty heavy duty. And the article pointed out that he's about 20 points ahead in the Arab vote over Gore.
I can believe that. I saw what's his
and certainly Jew Lieberman did not help on that count.
I saw Lieberman this morning on Regis, and he's a wimp.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he's been a total liability. I mean, yeah, he's going to get the old Jews in the cemetery of votes to come out and vote for Gore. But you know something? They would have voted for Gore anyway.
That's true. That's true.
Well,
yeah, to me, it seems like Gore's already, apparently he's in charge of U.S.-Russian relations.
Yeah.
And you know where that's gone the last 5
but of course
years.
Bush doesn't know where Russia is on the map, so you got a little problem with that.
Well, yeah, but he'll hire somebody that does.
Maybe point him in the right direction and tell him to have a good
wind
time.
him up.
Okay, good luck to us, pal. Okay, there's a guy who I think is legitimately waffling. He's, and I understand. How many times have I changed my mind on the air all these months? Even the months when I wasn't here. Was I paying any attention to this when I wasn't here?
No.
No way. And that guy, that British guy that called before, it's a free world to a point, you're entitled to your opinion, and if you want to tell me that this is the best place to live and yada yada, I'm happy for you. And you did make a good point, and that is that if you have a few bucks and you can afford to live in your place of choice a few months of the year, and then, come here when the weather is good. When is the weather good here?
Winter.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Better here than
in many other places, that's correct. And of course, since I bought my mother's condominium, Huh?
There you go.
Well, that's that. I'm thinking about that. Of course, you'll probably live to 110. What was that about that pudding? 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Huh? Well, I'm not going to keep my house when I get out of here. That's 4 years down the road.
Just order enough for 2.
I'm probably going to sign several new contracts.
No.
Yeah, stay here about another 15, 20 years.
No.
Come on here like,
No.
Yeah. Hello, it's Neil again. Yeah, well, why the hell not get old with all the listeners out there that have been listening for 100 years? Speaking of which, you realize the big 25 is coming up March 1st. I just mentioned that for our crack promotions department and the management here. That's going to be a stellar big day. And even on that day, Tom Jicka and Ellie Brucker and all these other people who try their best to ignore me and ignore this radio station, they won't be able to do that on March number 1, 25 years in the market. Nothing like Ricky Ticky. But can you imagine how that cat must smell by now?
He got Ranieri beat.
What do you mean by that? Is he done?
He's only on like a... Well, no, but I mean, that's not the market where he is now.
Oh, that's right. He's in, what is that, in Jupiter or somewhere? Uranus?
West Palm. Or
yeah, but he's on the station with like 6 watts now. Poor Mikey. That was the beginning of the end. I don't want to start on those damn Cox people again, but that was absolutely the beginning of the end when they screw around with him.
I'm getting a little tired of that crap, I can tell you right now.
I guarantee you. Miss those days. Miss Ranieri. Miss coming in there, he had that blue jacket and that bottle. I mean,
I even miss Roger. My back's all healed up now.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, Roger, it's funny you should mention him. He called me at home last night and said, hey, you need a new producer? He said, I hear George is an anti-Semite. He said, I love the Jews. I said, yeah, but what about fags? And he hung up. Here's Miami. Hello.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to vent a little bit, can I?
Go right ahead.
Listen, I just called up a reporter.
We heard you.
Herald.
I heard you. We had you on listening in on your conversation.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And you were doing such a great job, I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, because I'll tell you, I have Marty Barron calling me back.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the A section of the paper, you'll see the report, and she's got 3 columns of supporters for Bush and not 1 for Gore.
What page is this on?
It's just go to page 2A. I mean 2B.
Oh,
and
2B?
you'll see George P.'s picture.
I'll find it. I'll get to it. Well, see, I'm in Broward, so I get a different edition probably than usual.
Oh, well, anyway, she's got 3 paragraphs of all Bush supporters.
Yeah.
And when I asked her, I had to call Tallahassee for this. And when I asked her, I said, are you going to do a follow-up and show the supporters for Gore? She said, I can't write everybody's name down. I said,
oh, that's a brilliant response. See, that's not in my paper. They wouldn't dare do that in Broward. They don't want to piss all those Jews off.
Yeah, I can't believe it. She has every single commissioner from Miami who supports Bush, every Miami-Dade commissioner, and every legislator. Legislator. But the thing is, she says, I can't write everybody's name. I says, you did 3 paragraphs for Bush.
Yeah.
I says, are you trying to tell me that you're one-sided?
And what'd she say?
She says, well, I can't continue on this conversation. I says, I'll see you later. So I went to Marty Barron. And I'm having a call back from him to find out whether or not he's going to let this thing slide or if he's going to do a follow-up for Gore.
See, it's part of the Herald pandering again. Just keep in mind that's in the date edition only. So once again, they're pandering, and we know who they're pandering to.
Yes.
They're pandering to people who are not reading their newspaper.
And here's the sad part about this whole thing. Throughout the country, according to this article here, this is one thing in Gore's favor. He is winning by 65-25 as far as Hispanics across the country.
Right.
But he's losing here 77-14.
Oh, sure.
You see, because nobody's going out there. And when you were hearing me on the telephone there, if you were hearing me, I was talking to the Gore campaign. That was one of the managers down here. And I was telling them to get their butts going, to show some initiative to fight this kind of advertisement. Because this is an advertising.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Nice job.
Okay.
Keep it up. Let them have it. Here's a very old one that we've already had faxed before, but it's kind of cute. A priest, a rabbi, and a preacher are on a boat with 20 children. The boat starts sinking. In a panic, the preacher yells, the children, we must save the children. The rabbi replies, F the children. Excitedly, the priest says, but do we have time? It's old, but it's got its moments. Do we have time? 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. Yeah, we're on to you over there at the Miami Herald, and we're also on to all you news media people in this godforsaken Bush League farce of a town. We want more on that story about the goddamn cops in the prostitution ring. If it's the last thing that we do here on this show, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to stick our nose right on it. George would like to stick his nose on it. I don't think by now you wouldn't. On who? Not after all those porkers have been there. And that child prostitution ring.
Oh, no, I don't like whores.
Never been to Amsterdam, though.
Still, I don't care what they look like. People like Al have been touching them.
No, people like Al have not been touching them. That's the most incorrect statement you've ever made in your life. People like Al have never been anywhere near them. Trust me when I tell you. That's why Al has the landlord keep putting ads in the newspaper for unsuspecting women to try to hook up so we can take them around on his shoulder to pretend that he's got,
They're like disgusting men.
Trust me when I tell you. And like Ron Jeremy said, since Al got that apartment in Amsterdam, he's not nearly as tight as he used to be. That's what Ron told me. He's pretty disappointed, too. He's pretty bitter about it.
Hurricane, blow!
Debuting this fall on the WB from the makers of Meet the Parents, it's Meet the Clintons.
Hello, sir. I'm Chelsea's boyfriend. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Let me see your PP.
Excuse me, sir?
Your PP, let me see it.
Oh, Dad, leave him alone.
No, I mean it. Show me the goods.
Right out of Ehaw to a house in Chappaqua, Meet the Clintons.
I'm sorry, sir. Is this a bad time?
Oh, hello. No, this is our housekeeper, Carlotta. She's just relieving the stress.
I just wanted to ask you a question, but, I'll come back.
Oh, no, sit down, relax, boy. We're almost done here. Hop on Sports Center. Hey, you want to go next?
Meet the Clintons. The laughs just keep on coming.
Show me your PP.
1232 at 560 WQM. $660 so far today for Miguel and the QM van out there at the Hooters, corner of Pines and University in Pembroke Pines. They're only going to be there another half hour. How are we going to make 1,000 unless these assholes get with it? Best of Neil CDs and cassettes and keychains and those T-shirts too. Another half hour. Let's get with it. Here is the facts that broke the camel's back. Thank you. God bless you, Jonathan Miles, whoever you are. See, didn't I tell you that I knew that this was going on? It's a setup, and I didn't. I had in the back of my mind thinking that this probably, if it's happening to us, it's happening on all these other polls too. This is the organization. It's the far right. They've been doing this for years. Paul Weyrich and all these other assholes. They've been doing this for 20 years now. And they load up. Either they do it by mail or by phone. And now that we have the internet, of course, it's a much quicker and easier way to screw up all the polls. It says, "My name is Jonathan Miles. I'm a Gore campaign volunteer. I tried calling your show yesterday when you were talking that Republicans were just rigging their poll. I better give the poll result today. I should, of what it is right now. The United States is one of the safest, most civilized countries in the world, 53. No better or worse than most countries in violence, 61. A slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags, 100. Okay? I rest my case on that. But anyway, he says, well, this is happening all over the Internet. The Republicans somehow have a team that coordinates about 50 to 80 people who go on a daily basis to places like CNN.com, MSNBC.com, Politics.com, www.WashingtonPost.com, and many more, simply to go into the poll section and vote 3 or more times for the Bush-Cheney ticket. They're using a basic trick. Most of this polls registered by the IP address number, but they break that easily by hanging up. When they dial up again, their ISP assigns them a new IP address, and bingo, they can vote all over again because there's somebody else. They do this over and over again. I would appreciate if you'd bring this up to your listeners' attention, as they may be going to the places and see polls that look like 70% in favor of Bush and 28% in favor of Gore, like CNN. I've spoken with some people who were scared by seeing these polls, which are being manufactured by a well-coordinated Republican Internet team. Also, if you could encourage listeners to go to these places and cast their votes just the same way Republicans are doing this, vote, hang up, dial up, and vote over. We first discovered this at MSNBC, where we noticed Republicans logged like employees to engage in propaganda at specific times, like it was a job, and it was a handful of about 10 Republicans who logged with tons of nicknames who made it seem like a lot of different people when there was only a handful. It is sad to say there's only one Democratic regular at MSNBC called Texas Voter who manages to stay there even though she's outnumbered 10-1. The same thing's happening in other places mentioned above. To a first-time visitor of MSNBC would give the impression that everybody's in favor of the Bush-Cheney ticket. Every Internet address that's on there that is in their list or does polls will be rotated by these people over and over again to rig every poll on the Internet. Also, I'd like to recruit volunteers who have a computer and would like to dedicate 2 hours a day on the Internet to engage the Republicans in their own game. I don't know if you can announce this on the air. Yes, I can, Jonathan. And give my email address, which is jonathan@istnetwork.com. Jonathan, Jonathan, Jonathan at istnetwork, all one word, istnetwork.com. You see, what day was it we did the poll? Was it last Thursday, I think? Well, whatever day it was. And we did a thing about who, maybe it was just who you're going to vote for. And up until about 6 or 6:30, it was Gore was well ahead. And then all of a sudden, here come votes 50 and 100 and 150. And Bush has got 8 million votes. And, of course, since I watch the thing on the Internet at home, I realize that, once they start flooding in like that, it's all a put-up deal. And I just discard them. And I go back to wherever it was, where, because polls just don't change like that. We've been doing this a long time. And then we had the other day about who won the debate yesterday, and right in the middle of the first hour of the show, I curtailed it because Bush was ahead like Gore was ahead 83-26, and then all of a sudden here comes all these zillions of Bush votes all together, like 80, 100 in a row. And so we said, means nothing. See, this bandwagon philosophy, it's part of the psychology of discouraging people from voting, part of the psychology of getting people to jump on the bandwagon thinking, oh yeah, everybody else thinks Bush is good, they're going to vote for Bush, I better too. Especially in a race like this where most people are so unenthusiastic about both candidates. Oh yeah, the bandwagon's going this guy's way, I better jump on the bandwagon. And believe me, there's a lot of bandwagon jumpers out there. And a lot of poll followers, too. If the poll looks like it's leaning heavily in one way, oh, yeah, well, I must be missing something. I'm voting for that guy. And these are the kind of people, the right-wing religious nuts, the holy rollers, the faith-based assholes, as he calls them, faith-based charities. These are the idiots that you have to contend with. Dangerous. 22, thanks again, John. 22 before 1 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560. QAM.
My wiener doesn't whistle.
Nervous fears from inside give rise and escalation. Little girls from Sweden scream with silver screen rotation. You're gay. And if you want these kind of dreams, it's free ejaculation.
Squirt, squirt.
It's the edge of wetness coming from my inner frustration. My pants may rise from the heat, at least I lose my final temptation. It's understood my Johnson loves free ejaculation.
Squirt, squirt.
One big hanging horn, hardcore soft horn. Buy me a whore on the boulevard before pre-ejaculation.
17 to 1 at 560 WQAM. Another 17 minutes for Miguel at the Hooters on the corner of Pembroke Pines. Why do I keep saying that? Pines and University in Pembroke Pines. I don't know. It's an old place for a bunch of old farts anyway. Used to be nice over there, Pembroke Pines, Pembroke Lakes. Then they built Cemetery Village.
Oh!
And it was like the beginning of the end. That's why George moved out. Too many old Jews. Here's Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
All right.
Listen, man, I'm 36 years old, and I've always been a staunch Republican.
Yes?
But I got to tell you, I am at a total loss. Because I don't know how anybody in their right mind could vote for George Bush. I wish somebody would call in and explain it to me, because I don't get it. I'm not saying Gore's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
No, it's not. Yeah.
But then they say he comes off as arrogant. Well, he comes off as at least knowing the issues. If that's arrogant, then I guess it's arrogant.
No, that's all media spin. In other words, if he doesn't just sit back and mumble like Hugh Lieberman and Cheney did, then he's arrogant and he's got some nerve trying to show how smart he is compared to the dummy.
Well, thank God for Century Village right now, because you know who they're going to be voting for.
That's right, 2 or 3 times.
You know, more power to them. But you know, somebody enlighten me, man, because I don't get it, man. And I'm not lying when I say I've always voted Republican. I mean, maybe that's my fault, but there is no way on God's green earth I want 8 out of 9 Supreme Court justices being right-wing conservatives. And if people think that they can't overturn things and can't screw up the country, they're dead wrong.
You got it.
Wake up, people. Wake up.
Okay, amigo. See, there you go. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T. Got 4,500 open lines here. Just like yesterday, right after the debate.
I don't know. I don't have no opinion about nothing.
Just the same as usual. I got to do all the work. That's what they're paying me the big bucks for, to do all the work, to keep flagellating these people and try to just, I don't know what, try to knock some sense, try to get them to think, try to get the gray matter working. Anything. The Dow's still up 111 and the Nasdaq's up about 200, which means that Greenspan hasn't spoken yet, of course. Oh, won't that be nasty, huh, when he opens up his mouth? All these nights. See, we've had like 3-4 good hours here already since 9:30 when the market opened this morning. He'll screw it up. Here's Coral Gables. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
Okay.
Geez, that last guy just stole all my thunder. I'll tell you something. The NASDAQ might be up 200 points, but your Beasley Communications Group is having a slightly less acute reaction to the movement. It's up like 1/8 of a point.
Is that all? Don't say my B. I don't have it. I don't have one share of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm stuck with my Citrix.
I see it on your website. So, also a Republican, also voting for Gore.
All right.
Yeah, I got to get a couple of things out of the way here. Number one, yesterday you guys were talking about some of the bad complexions out there in the celebrity world.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's another surprising bad complexion under layers of makeup is Whitney Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm delighted to hear that. Maybe that's why Bobby Brown keeps beating the crap out of him.
She's sporting a few hundred craters.
I'll tell you who else has got a bad complexion. We mentioned him just the other day. Is Dean Cain from Lois and Clark.
Does he really?
Dean, what's his name? Dean Cain.
Cain.
He's got terrible complexion. Even worse than Steve Cain.
Yeah, I heard George talking about something with him at Princeton and Brook Shields. I never heard about that. But
he claims that Dean Cain popped her cherry was his expression. I just went, yeah, sure.
He's supposedly quite the magnet, though, out in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, and I know he's doing that show now where he's playing a flamer. So, anyway, I wanted to give you a quick call and just basically go over the fact that, I see both sides of this thing as pretty ridiculous. Coming from a Republican standpoint, I look at Gore as just, again, the lesser of two evils. Clearly, far and away, the more intelligent individual, the more presidential individual. The Bush thing is just such a scary prospect to begin with. Because you look at the guy and you think to yourself, he doesn't even look like he wants to be there. He looks like he's actually a puppet.
No, he believes in this entitlement thing. His name is Bush, and his daddy had a lot of money, and he fell into a lot of money, and therefore, because he's Bush, he's entitled to it. And just hand me the keys to the White House, and that's it. He doesn't want to go through all of this.
Well, hey, there's a lot of that attitude in this country right now today.
Yeah.
That is an actual reality of this country. That's part of the reason why you have the driving that you have on the highways around down here in South Florida, because everybody's got this attitude of selfishness that everything is about them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no decency, there's no respect whatsoever. I don't know who you blame that for, but there's definitely an issue in this country that is about entitlement and people's sense of entitlement. The bottom line is I've heard some people call up here today and they're just, they're so excited they sound like they're going to bust a nut. They're just all worried about what's happening with the Miami Herald and everything else. Forget about the Miami Herald. It's a semi-literate newspaper with a bunch of people down here who probably won't even end up voting.
Yeah, nobody pays any attention to that paper anyway. Years and years ago, like about 30, 40 years ago, they used to have some clout and they could help people win or lose or whatever. They haven't been able to do that in a long time.
They've got nothing,
right.
Okay? And as far as the press is concerned, the press is decidedly liberal. That is a fact. Okay, there might be a few people out there, a few areas in the press.
You mean like the Chicago Tribune?
Or you keep talking about some guy on CNN. I don't know who he is.
I don't know how you can say that. You mean like George Will?
Oh, sure. Well, see, again, you can name several of them off the top of your head. But look at the Boston Globe. Look at the New York Times.
I can name you the columnists.
Look at what we usually, most of us, in our sort of sleepy...
Cal Thomas, George Will, most of the columns that we read in the newspaper, William Safire, are conservatives and ultra-conservatives. There are very few liberal. You got Ellen Goodman as one. She's liberal.
Interestingly enough, though, the people you just named, Neil, are people that someone who is as literate and educated as yourself is aware of, but the average nincompoop who gets up every day and goes off to work and comes home and watches Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Survivor on TV and hopes that his wife doesn't have a headache that night, he has no idea what George Will has said for the last 6 months or the last 6 years. He might know who he is because he's flipping channels on a Sunday morning with a hangover.
That's right. If he's sitting there in the morning on Sunday and he's doing his,
But he doesn't listen to it. He doesn't listen to it. He flips channels. He's looking for an HBO movie that shows a little laughs. The fact of the matter is, those guys are the guys that you're listening to. Most people are listening to what Richard Gere tells them on People Magazine's front cover.
Yeah.
Most people are paying attention to what
Hollywood
tells them.
I saw his picture on the front of Gerbil Life last week.
And if Hollywood
I've been a subscriber for a long time.
And if Hollywood isn't liberal and it isn't Jew-controlled, then I don't know anything at all, because that's got to be a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, and...
Well, now you sound like Reverend Kennedy.
No.
Jew-controlled pornography.
I'm going to jump around a little bit. Don't forget one thing unequivocally, I will tell you truthfully. I am absolutely voting for Gore. Bush is a complete...
But that doesn't make any difference. But when you say Hollywood is liberal, which of course is true, and
I'm trying to put a little balance
into
the argument and just say, look, both sides, you've got to be a cynic about both things. because I hear people calling up this radio station all day long. Oh my God, they're so upset and they want to make sure that Gore gets his.
Well, they're upset. It's not because they think Gore is so great. It's because Bush terrifies them, and you just said so yourself.
Absolutely,
Bush is scary.
Absolutely. And if you let me finish, what I'm going to say to you is the fact that I hear these people all excited about everything, and they're so like hell bent against proving, my God, I'm right. Bush is the wrong guy. You've got to vote for Gore. And I'm just saying, relax, because both of these guys have problems. If we can get Gore in there, great. But he's not the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, he's not going to put a bunch of fascists on the Supreme Court, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's the one major problem that I have with with Bush, besides the fact that he's a complete nincompoop, is that that there's all these powers that are backing him up.
That is correct. When you give a moron, when you give a man who's obviously manipulated and controlled by special interests, by right-wing special interests, that's not the kind of guy you want appointing all the federal judges and Supreme Court judges.
Well, I had a few more things for you. The last quick thing, and then I'll call you another day. These panels that they have when they finish up the debates are a riot. We're sitting there watching it in our living room at home, and I'm turning to my wife, and I'm like, watch this guy. He's definitely going to be for Gore. Watch this guy. You can pick him out. These people are so full of whatever.
The only guy that tells you immediately afterward, like I said yesterday, is Dan Rather. He'll just capsulize it in 30 seconds and tell you we just heard the usual same old sound bites and trite cliches, and he's right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah, they're supposedly undecided, and then the minute they start to speak, you're like, that guy's for Gore. That guy's for Bush.
Okay.
You have a great day.
Hang in there. Thanks. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Neil, you're great, man.
Yes, I am.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you, man, Bush is the Antichrist.
Okay. There's the verification we've been looking for several weeks now. Okay, we got 400 open lines here, which we got an hour and 8 minutes to kill till I go for my therapy for my hand, which is doing pretty good. I just mentioned that again, not that anybody cares. How's that hand coming? In fact, Matty Bell asked me this morning how it was coming. I made a fist with my right hand and just punched his lights right out, which is easy, about 2 feet tall. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT. Oh, so Matty Bell didn't like your anti-Jew show last Friday, huh? Again, sticking his nose into your... Every time George does the show and does his usual magnificent, crap-disturbing job, Matty Bell's got to stick his nose into it. I guess we still haven't gotten through to him. And what a shame that he recovered from his ailment so soon. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
How soon we forget?
Yes?
Which president in the late 80s, early 90s had their Federal Communications Commission fining radio stations for indecency, including WIOD's Neil Rogers and Howard Stern?
Yeah.
Which one was it?
Well, which president had the FCC fining the same people in the 90s? I thought it was Bubba.
No.
Yeah.
It was Papa Bush.
No, it was, and also Bubba. You didn't hear what I just said. It doesn't make any difference because they appoint the FCC commissioners, and the commissioners do whatever the hell they want. And those commissioners.
But Bubba's commissioners weren't going after indecency.
Yes, they were.
Well, I disagree.
I've only been on the station for 3 years, and we got fined. Well, the fine is still pending, but we got a fine that's pending now for like $10,000 or whatever it is for stuff that we played on this show. By the Bill Clinton FCC,
some of which was all right once upon a time.
Yeah, right. In fact, some of which was said to be okay. It doesn't make any difference. You're forgetting one thing, and that is that both parties now are for censorship. We don't have any great liberal. That's Jesse Ventura you're thinking of. He's not a part of either one of these parties. So there's nothing perfect there. And believe me, what the Democratic Party is today is very, very light years away from being perfect, but it's the buffer. I can keep telling you that. Keep it, like the guy just before him said, keep it in perspective. It's not like we got some great spectacular choice out there that's the Messiah that's going to lead us to the Promised Land. Oh, don't say the Promised Land again, because we want to hear about Israel. When you start talking about Israel, it's very important. And stop eating trafe on the air. We're going to report it to your rabbi. And George's accountant, too. You notice yesterday I brought up that thing about the Arab in Hollywood. Did we have any calls about that?
No.
That's going to be our poll question tomorrow. Which is more dangerous, an Arab or an Arab? Yeah. I understand that we're having a nervous breakdown in Emerald Hills. They thought I said Arabs are, they're going to have, okay, an Arab in Emerald Hills. Yeah, the Sheikh of Arab V. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T, and take Israel and take Fidel and take all of that stuff and stick it in your pipe and go smoke some good weed somewhere. Get out of my face. stop hocking us at China with his nonsense. And I keep trying to tell you, the whole show, George, on a Friday was a put-on. Even Greg Reed was in here yesterday morning congratulating him on doing a big put-on and putting one over on the audience. Stealing a little thing from Phil.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Now, he won't admit it now because that'll kill the whole deal, you know. Goes out in the hallway, gets some secretary. Here's Moishi Pupik from Israel, and she's, you know.
She spoke Hebrew.
Yeah, I heard she said Kaxel a couple times.
That's Yiddish, gutter language.
Here's Orlando. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Well, gutter religion, gutter language. Yes, sir.
There was a key part in that debate when Gore finally had Bush on the issue of taking the trillion out right now.
Yes.
Taking it out of...
That was right at the end, and then Bush says, oh, well, an old high school debating tactic is to attack your opponent.
Well, because you take the trillion out right now, throw it into Citrix or whatever, and then the trillion that comes right out right now means a cut in Social Security paychecks right now. And he looked at Jim and he said, Jim, and instead of Lear saying, all right, answer the question.
Right.
Just answer the question.
Why didn't he say answer the question, Mr. Paranoia, like Lee J. Cobb? Lee J. Cobb should have been the moderator.
Because he finally had him right there. But on this re-election thing in Texas, when he got re-elected that time, he keeps bragging about that. The guy he ran against was so bad and such a poor candidate that the Democrats endorsed Bush. They just knew there was no way Bush was going to lose that second time. So there's another. Finally on Lieberman. You know, he's not. He is not relinquishing his Senate seat. He is continuing to run for that. So if Gore and Lieberman win, that seat will be a Republican governor.
It goes to show you what a stupid move he made. First of all, he's from Connecticut. The Democrats were already going to win Connecticut, whether they had him on the ticket or not. Secondly, being a Jew, and especially an Orthodox Jew, is not going to turn out to be an asset. It's going to be a liability. And thirdly, like you said, if the Democrats really hope to, especially now that we had the death in Missouri there, if they hope to win over the Senate, the fact that they're going to give away his seat in Connecticut is like a death knell. And that was a very poor choice.
So get one big ball.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya. What is it, 12:57 already at QA?
Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley broadcast organization, and WQAM.com for the world.
No, I don't listen to the 1 to 2 hour. It wouldn't be prudent at this time.
Tonight on Entertainment Tonight.
Mr. Gore, thanks for the interview. You look kind of uncomfortable. Something you need to do?
Number 2.
Oh, you mean?
I know a lot of you have had that feeling, too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone's in the restroom. Can you hold it?
Sometimes. Yes, I am going.
You look like you're in a little bit of pain there for a while.
I began to see the future.
Tonight on Entertainment Tonight, you peed in the studio.
You know, I've been there and done that.
It was a new couch.
102 at 560 WQM. Hank will be here with you from Dave and Buster's at 2 this afternoon. A priest, a Boy Scout, and the smartest man in the world are in an airplane that's about to crash. There are only 3 parachutes on board. The pilot takes one, the smartest man in the world takes another one, and the priest tells the Boy Scout, take the last one because he's had a full life and he wants the boy to live. Don't worry, says the Boy Scout. The smartest man in the world just jumped out with my backpack. $1,040 today at Hooters. Nice job there, Miguel. So we continue raising some serious money. We got to be right up there about 30 grand, I would say, huh? For Planned Parenthood, and considering our late start, I would say that's pretty damn good if you ask me. Don't forget our Best of Neil CDs and cassettes are all at Specs, and you can also order them and the keychains from neilrogers.com or WQAM.com. So a priest, a Boy Scout, it was good the first time, why the hell not try it again? 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. How is that poll coming today? United States is one of the safest, most civilized countries in the world. 23.4%, 61 out of 260. No better or worse than most countries for violence, 71. A slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags, 127 or 48.8%, almost half. Which means that almost half of our people have been someplace else. Someplace safe, like maybe Colombia. Here's a Lady Mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Neil, this is Bobby Hyman.
Hi, Bobby. How are you?
Very good. I just want you to know I'm still out here listening to you.
After all these years, what was it, about 80 years ago we used to do those shows?
God,
Bobby Hyman with the dating shows.
That's sweet. But anyway,
what a memory, huh?
I wasn't listening earlier. I had just gotten in the car, and then one of the things that I noticed about the thing the other night, the debate, where this when they asked Bush about the men that were being killed, did you notice the expression on his face? It was almost like the big bad wolf with the tongue hanging out, dripping, and he said, 3 men are going to be killed.
Yeah.
Did you notice the look on his face?
Yeah. Oh, he mentioned it. That was in the earlier debate. That was in the first one.
No, it was the last one because oh, that's right. You're right. It was
in the first one.
Second
And he
one.
said it about 2 or 3 times, and of course he was wrong, and Gore should have nailed him on it right there because only 2 of the 3 were executed, and the third one got life in prison. And he kept...
But the look on his
Yeah.
face, I watch body language and stuff, and I swear, it was almost like the glee of that's probably why one of the guys asked him that question. I guess that was after the last
Right,
debate.
yeah.
So anyway, here we are. I'm very nervous about this election, though, because, as you said, I'm mostly concerned about the Supreme Court and women's rights and the rights of people. I don't know.
I think we got a shot. I really do.
I hope you're right. Anyway, it's very good talking to you.
Okay,
again.
Bobby.
And good luck.
Take care.
Bye.
Bobby Hyman. That was Bobby Hyman. We used to do the dating show things. Remember those days? No, you don't remember those.
No.
That was W. Snooze.
Heard about him.
Yeah, but 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Yeah, that thing about from Jonathan, which I'm saving as facts. Let me give his email address again. Jonathan at istnetwork.com. All one word, istnetwork.com. So we got these right-wingers who are like saying, and it's so sad. It's pathetic, but it's there. You got to understand the mentality you're dealing with. Talk about devious and unfair, and it's just like the way they tried to get Bubba from the day that he took office, before he even got sworn in. They were after him. And we had the sexual peccadillos, and we had Whitewater, and we wasted $60 million worth of tax money, and then finally yesterday, well, Hillary may not have known this, and the whole thing's a pile of crap, and goodbye. And that was it, $60 million later. They tried everything but standing on their head, including giving head, and it still didn't work. And for all of his foibles, Bubba's approval ratings are still up there. And in the meantime, he may never got a peace in the Middle East because it's never going to happen. But at least they said, okay, we'll have some matzah together, whatever the hell he said.
He gave it a shot.
He gave it a good shot. Just like Jimmy Johnson, and look what happened to him. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how are you?
Okay.
First of all, you have a great show. I really enjoy it every time I listen to you. Have a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment there. I'm right now undecided. Like you said, there's nothing good to choose from right now, either Democrat or Republican. But a lot of people are saying about the Bush specifically that he comes from a state, he don't have experience. But that's where Clinton came from too, from a state. He didn't have any experience in Washington. So at that point,
neither did Jimmy Carter, neither did Ronald Reagan. Reagan was the governor of California. Neither did Franklin Roosevelt, who was the governor of New York.
Exactly. And that point, and then about Lieberman, he doesn't know whether or not he's going to win as a vice president, so he's going to get a reservation in the Senate, so at least not cover in there.
It's called covering your ass, yeah. That's right.
All right, man. You have a good day.
And back to you. Of course, and then the business, who the hell were they comparing to Kennedy? I almost died when I heard them talking about that. Oh, that's right. It was that Bill Schneider again on CNN, that idiot, who's always analyzing the polls. I think somebody ought to analyze his poll. Talking about the Kennedy-Nixon debate and then comparing Bush to JFK. Seriously. I'm waiting for Lloyd Benson, even though he's dead. Make a comeback, Lloyd, to come up there and say to Bill Schneider, I knew John Kennedy, and guess what? George W. ain't no John Kennedy. Even a little school kid knows that. Can you imagine that? Comparing his likability. JFK didn't just have charisma. He was a leader, like him or not. At least he had enough personality to convey it and convince people to pull the wool over our eyes and think that he wasn't really screwing around all that time, that he was doing something meaningful. And let me say it again. What did I do with that thing? I want to read it on the air every goddamn day. Because this is one of the most important parts of this election. If you want religious fanatics running this country, then by all means vote for George W. Direct quote, John F. Kennedy, I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no religious body seeks to impose its will directly or indirectly upon the general populace, where every man has the same right to attend or not attend the church of his choice, where there will be no Arabs in Hollywood, whether they Hasidim like it or not. Yeah. And this business about what does he call faith-based charity, all that crap. It's just code for the religious right. Just like the thing about school vouchers, code for parochial schools.
Churches.
That's what we're talking about. That's correct. That's sucking up to his damn religious right buddies. The Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell and the James Dobson crowd. Which would seem to me that Mr. Dobson's got enough trouble of his own with a 1-8 that was caught in the John Polk guy caught in the gay bar up there, and then this other guy the other day that was found doing hanky-panky, having an affair and had to quit, his right-hand man, the Trout man. Yeah, the trouser trout guy. Couldn't keep his trout in his trousers, evidently was the problem. Adulterers, closet queens, you name it. That's what you got with that crowd. 9 minutes after 1 at 560 WQAM.
It's a lie. I am not a Nazi.
And now the first question, as determined by a flip of a coin, it goes to Vice President Gore. Vice President Gore, you have questioned whether Governor Bush has the experience to be President of the United States. What exactly do you mean?
You got to do boom, 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 boom. Do what you do, boom, 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 boom.
Governor Bush, 1 minute rebuttal. Is it fair to say, okay, the differences between Vice President Gore and George W. Bush, or Governor Bush, are the following. You are for doing something on the consumption end. You're for doing something on the production. And, let me clarify. Yep. Governor Bush, if elected president, would you try to overturn the FDA's approval last week of the abortion pill, RU 486? Vice President Gore. Governor, I will go to the Supreme Court question in a moment, but make sure I understand your position on RU 486. If you're elected president, will you, not through appointments to the FDA, you won't support legislation to overturn this? Vice President Gore.
What you want for nothing?
Thank you, Governor Bush. Vice President Gore. See you next week. And for now, from Boston, I'm Jim Merrill. Thank you and good night.
116 at 560 WQAM, 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's a call from San Jose, California, allegedly. Hello.
Good morning, Neil. Oh, good afternoon, Neil, my queen.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Happy Jew Year. How are you?
Okay.
I'm a little concerned about people in California. There's a big groundswell of support here for Ralph Nader, and they don't really realize that a vote for Nader is a vote for Bush.
That is correct. Well, you better spread the word. Get that sign out, that sandwich board.
I'm telling you, the tree huggers here seem to think that Ralph Nader is some kind of solution.
Well, let me ask you something. What county in California is Ralph Nader going to win?
Zero.
Right.
Absolutely zero.
How many electoral votes is Ralph Nader going to win?
Probably next to none.
No, zero.
Just like about how successful Gore is going to be in Dearborn, Michigan, with all the Arabs that you touched on.
Right.
Can we switch gears to hockey for a second?
Yes.
Roberto Luongo, last night...
By the way, the San Jose... What the hell's the name of the goalie that played for San Jose last night against Dallas?
Nabokov.
Oh, man, did he play a great game. I know
He is great.
But he was great.
He could take Steve Shields' job.
Yeah, he played phenomenal.
He has played phenomenal because we thought, no wins till Shields comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Shields is skating again this morning, by the way, big deal. But Roberto Luongo... My work takes me to Portland and Seattle, and I've become a big fan of junior hockey.
Right.
And I saw the Memorial Cup in '98, and Roberto Luongo just got blown out in that tournament.
Yeah.
He didn't play that great with the Islanders, and then seeing him sitting in the back of the net last night in overtime, I mean, is this guy the man?
I didn't see. See, you could watch it because it wasn't that late out by you, but with me, after 2 periods, I went to bed, which was a wise choice.
Yeah, if you're following the Panthers, absolutely. But I don't know if you could see the replay. Bore tried to get out, go end-to-end in overtime, and Phoenix bottled him up 3 times. He coughed the puck up. He failed to check his guy. And Joe Juno, who's washed up for 5 years, puts it in. I mean, do you think Luongo is the man?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the part of the game that I saw, he played pretty good. I mean, he gave up no goals by the time I stopped watching. So
yeah, he only had 24 shots last night.
And I saw some of the games he played with the Islanders last year, and he looked pretty damn good to me.
Well, the Islanders got barraged, so I just don't know if he's the man, and I know seeing him in the Memorial kept getting blown out. And
yeah, but you got to keep one thing in mind. The problem I keep telling people here, the problem with this team is not goaltending, it's defense.
Oh, is that problem for most teams in the NHL as far as defense?
That is correct, like the Leafs, right.
I mean, the go-to guy here is Gary Suter. He's washed up.
What does that tell you? He's only 100 years old.
Yeah, and then they got a couple of Swedes, you know, like Don Cherry says, they go in the corner with a dozen eggs, they come out with them intact. One last thing,
yeah, but it's
sir.
good for breakfast, though.
Oh, yeah, One last thing, sir. Say hi to our mutual friend Dominic the plumber. Isn't he great?
Dominic the plumber?
Yeah. Didn't he come and do it? He told me he came to your house and did a clog for you.
Well, maybe when I wasn't there.
Oh.
Okay, pal.
All right, sir.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
We'll need it. Dominic the plumber, another one of my close personal friends, isn't he? Sure. What? Do you remember anybody named Dominic the plumber? I don't. Maybe he knows Izzy. Oh, no, it's not with Izzy again. Izzy will be calling again. You're a great guy, Izzy, but bug off. Go to my roof. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon.
Are they talking hockey again? We want to hear about Israel, and that relentless son of a bitch is talking about the hockey stuff. Nobody here cares about that. What's wrong with him, Esther? What's wrong? People want to talk about the Middle East, about Israel. It's a powder keg. It's a waste of time. Any word that you might utter about it is just energy expended for naught. Here's a mobile in Hollywood. Hello.
Oh, Anna, is this Stan?
Huh?
Is this Stan, Major?
That's Stan Major, yeah.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Seen any good candy bars lately? Anybody out there buy a good watch lately?
Have you heard from Stan at all lately?
No, I have not. In fact, you know something? All that money that Mitch Hirsch is losing me in the market, the interest on the $2,000 probably ought to get me even by now.
Yeah, it ought.
What? Okay. Whatever. Anybody know what he said? Yeah, that's what I thought he said.
Did you mention where people could get the Paul Begala book?
I said in a bookstore, or that's the website. Did you write it down?
No, that's what I'm talking about.
E-A-E-I-O-U. I don't know if I kept that one. I've had so many damn faxes today, and it was something. It had something to do with like a classroom or like a, I don't know. The guy got it for $8.40. Somebody I can find it here. Huh? Here it is. The website is eCampus. See, I told you, campus. That has something to do with like, a shul. eCampus.com. $8.40 in free shipping. eCampus.com. Because a lot of the bookstores evidently are out of it. I wonder why that is, huh? I wonder why the bookstores are running out of Paul Begala's great book. It's got a red and yellow cover on the front and Bush pointing at his forehead and asking, is our children learning? A direct quote from George W. Grand Rapids, Michigan, January 11, 2000. And if you think that quote is dumb, wait till you read a lot of the other ones in the book. See, and you notice one thing, not one Bush person has called this show and denied that Bush is dumb. They've come up with all this other verbiage and all these other excuses, but not one person has denied that he's dumb because he is dumb. There you are. Makes sense to me. Right. I told you it always makes sense to me, and I did again right there. They don't deny that he's dumb because he's dumb. It's like if I had a plate of dog crap right here in front of me, and we had 50 people from around the building come in, not one of them would deny that it was dog crap. It's brown. Yeah, and it smells like crap. Oh, that's right. Maybe Josh Friedman was here. Here's Pompano. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You keep repeating this thing from Kennedy. I'd like to remind you what Adler Stevenson said. He said, it's not the Pope I fear, it's the Pop. And I think that same phrase might apply in this race that's going on now. What do you think?
5670560, pound 560. Was he drinking soda pop? No, it's the booze that I fear. Not the pop. See, he's probably not from upstate New York or Canada.
Anywhere up north, it's all pop.
No, it's not.
Northwest?
Northwest what?
It's pop in the Northwest.
Is it?
Sure. It took me a long time to start saying soda.
Oh, now let me just tell you one thing. When I went to Michigan State, I had these assholes, my roommate, one of them, and these assholes from New York who think that the whole, like with the World Series now, oh yeah, everybody's all whipped up. No, I'm not whipped up about it. I don't care who wins. More power to them, but get out of my life. I don't care. The rest of the world, most of us don't care about New York. And so when we would refer to, and then of course we had to say, there he is. Look at that, right on cue with a stupid Yankee cap, Joe Costello, who thinks that Maria Bartiromo is real attractive because she looks mousy like, what's her name, Christina Aguilera. But anyway, so the thing was, soda pop. Now, in New York, if you go in and ask for a soda, New York City, you get an egg cream. You get like an ice cream soda. Now, what do they, but they don't call it pop in New York. What the hell do they call it?
I don't know. I've only been there for
I just backed myself into a corner because I haven't been in New York in a long time, thank God. And I don't want to see Rudy Giuliani and the Stormtroopers, but I don't know what the hell they call,
Coke. Coke, everything is Coke.
No, it is not.
Well, that's
well, what if you want an orange soda?
Coke.
And
orange
it's not
Coke.
orange,
Orange
it's
Coke.
orange.
Orange.
Oh, yeah. See, the New Yorkers, when they would tell us how to speak properly, like them. Right, this is correct. When I was at Michigan State, all these assholes from New York, even at their young age, even as teenagers, they were very arrogant and obnoxious and would tell us this is the way it's done by real people. And then I would think to myself, yeah, but you're from New York. I thought you said real people. In fact, my roommate wasn't even from New York. He was from Tenafly, New Jersey. How do you like that? Here's Davey. Hello. And guess what my roommate's name was? Tom Davey. Davey, hello. Okay, good. That must have been Tom right there. Get out of here, Tom. You're ugly. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. Out-of-town line is open. Did we ever get the call from Orlando, or did they go bye-bye? I never got to it, did I? Huh? Because those calls from Orlando are always bad. In all my life, and 25 years in this market, I don't think I've ever had 3 real calls from Orlando. It's always about a bunch of radio groupies and a bunch of stupid crap. God, is that a horrible place. It makes Tampa St. Pete look like Manhattan, speaking of New York. Looks like a bunch of sophisticates. Did any New Yorker call in and tell you what they call like a soda? Like what we call soda, like a Coke or a Pepsi or something? Did anybody call and tell you?
They said soda.
Well, that's not... See, I'm confused now. Pop. They don't say pop. Here's somebody to tell us. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Neil.
Yes.
In New York, New York City, a soda could refer to anything. Coca-Cola, cream soda, an egg cream. Upstate New York, they refer to it as pop, like they do in Michigan.
Right, or in
or in Ohio.
Right.
Okay, I don't know about the Pacific Northwest, but up in the northern, Midwest, it's all pop. But in New York, a soda is any kind of a carbonated drink.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay?
Thanks a lot.
All right.
See, I feel better now. Don't you? No, I was confused about that because I thought I knew what I was talking about, and like that. I don't know. In addition to which, am I going back to New York anytime soon? No, I don't want to go there. Too many goddamn people. George ain't going there. Too many Jews. 26 after 1 at 560 QAM.
This is 560 QAM. The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Have a nice day. This is your club host, Pinky, reminding you to join us every Friday and Saturday night at the Orifice for the best dance party around. Orifice. The Orifice brings you the best in music from famous DJs such as Kid Mark, Gassy Gary, and DJ Bowell. Orifice. Stop on by when the Orifice really lets loose on Thursday night as DJ Rotass presents the Loose Bowel Contest. The Orifice is open every night from 10 until 3. The Orifice. It will blow you away.
Orifice. 131 at 560 WQM. Here's a fax from Lulu who says, You mentioned the W Snooze days earlier. Do you have any idea what happened to Sandy Payton? Haven't heard anything about her in a long time. Do you know why her show is not anymore? Appreciate it, Lulu. Well, the reason she's not on anymore is because her show sucked. That's number one. She had no audience, number two. And number three, she ran away with Ann Bishop's body, is doing what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what I heard. Then, to pick up where we left off with this thing that was faxed to me yesterday, this is pretty good stuff. About which ethnic group, which nationality had the most sex. Americans had sex most often this year, while older teens and young adults in Japan did it the least. Most Dutch people said they learned about sex from their mothers, while the Americans attributed their knowledge to their fathers. Father, can you help? Oh, I'm sorry. Most Italians said they were told about sex by their brothers and sisters, while French gave credit to their bed partners. Americans were the earliest to have sex, an average of 16.4 years, followed by Brazilians 16.5, the French 16.8. The French also seemed to have the most sex partners, claiming an average of 16.7 each. The Greeks were second with 15 partners, each, followed by Brazilians at 12.5 and Americans at 11.8. How are you spelling that? Indians were the most faithful to their partners, with 82% saying they had sex with only one person. The survey said 61% of those aged 16 to 20 and 52% of those aged 21 to 24 preferred condoms for contraception, and the Pope's not too pleased about that. 13% of respondents said they used no form of contraception at all, while 8% said they used natural methods. 8. The survey also said that most men thought American stars Madonna and Jennifer Lopez were the sexiest female celebrities. How do you like that? Oh. Supermodel Cindy Crawford and actress Demi Moore, who used to be Demi Moore, but is now Demi Moore, were tied for second place, while Julia Roberts ranked third. Titanic star Kate Winslet and former Spice Girl Jerry Halliwell were the least desirable, getting just 2% of the votes, while tennis ace Steffi Graf was just a notch better with 3%. So Cindy Crawford and Demi Moore... Won't you do this to me? Go right up there. Oh, Madonna and Jennifer Lopez. Wow. I hope nobody in this crowd's had a big lunch. Where are we going here? Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Uncle Neil.
Yes, I am.
Long time, airport. Everyone still loves you at the airport. We never forgot about it.
Say hi to Helen and all my good friends at Air Canada, eh?
Yeah, hey, you got it. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was reading one of the papers from New York, like the Post or one of those rags.
Right.
And they had an article about the embezzling priest or whoever he was. You ever heard about that one?
Well, it could be another one. I mean, there's so many.
Oh, it's one of the big guys in New York, one of the main, I don't know if he's a Monsignor, but one of those guys.
Oh, the only embezzling priest I remember was a few months ago in Tampa, so this is another one.
No, this is brand new. $2 million.
All right.
The church turns around, smuggles him to Canada for a retreat, so he can reflect upon his
so he can retreat.
Givings. Yeah, exactly. So the church, they didn't even wait for any, kind of investigation. They grabbed him and hauled him right to Canada.
Beauty. Well, at least they didn't send him to New Mexico. It's getting pretty crowded with those guys there.
Could be.
Okay, thanks for the good news.
We love you.
Okay.
Go Gore.
See ya.
Father, you help an old water boy. I'm a Catholic.
Okay. 135 at 560 WQAM, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Hank Goldberg at Dave & Buster's at 2, with good old Beano Cook at 5. Hurricane Hotline from Bremen Honda at 6 o'clock. The Lions and the Bucks Thursday Night Football at 8 o'clock, Eddie K. after NFL football. Got it? Here's Hialeah. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Neil, just because you're not a good public speaker doesn't mean you wouldn't make a good president.
Yeah.
I mean, Reagan was a great public speaker. I'm sure you wouldn't want to vote for him.
So what does that mean?
That just because Bush is not
a moron? It's not a question of whether he's a good public speaker. It's a question of does he know the fact? Is there any substance to him? It's not how he articulates.
He graduated from Harvard with an MBA.
He didn't graduate from Harvard, sir. He graduated from Yale.
Well, same.
Yeah, same difference. And he only got into Yale because of the fact that there were a bunch of blue noses up there. They were the Bushes, and he graduated with what they call a gentleman C. You better do your homework, sir. A gentleman C, which means he really probably flunked every class, but a gentleman C means they gave him like kind of their own affirmative action and passed him on through because Daddy would have been upset and probably paid a lot of money to get him his degree. Got it? So in other words, just because he's illiterate and just because he can't put a sentence together, that doesn't mean he's not going to make a great president. Yeah, look at the last dummy we had in there, Gerald Ford. Was he a great president?
No.
Was he a great congressman from Michigan?
No.
140 years in the goddamn House of Representatives, never introduced one meaningful piece of legislation, Gerald Ford. The best thing he was known for was I beg your pardon. And even got those two broads in California all pissed off. Squeaky Fromm, and what was the other one? Come on, Squeaky Fromm, and the other one was just days apart. I think it was Jerry Halliwell. Yeah, she wanted to spice it up a little bit.
You took the only one that I...
Well, everybody knows Squeaky Fromm.
I can't remember that one.
Because the squeaky... She said the squeaky veal gets the grease. That's what they said the Hollywood Video.
Tex Watson.
Here's a lady in Tamarack. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Neil. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Neil, did you read in the opinion
Sarah
section?
Jane Moore.
Sarah Jane Moore, thank you. Did I read what?
Did you read in the opinion section this morning of the Sun about the presidential issue opposing making English the official language of the United States?
No, I did not.
I'd like to hear some feedback on that if I possibly can, because it's very, very...
Well, what did it say?
It says that Bush and Gore oppose making English the official language of the United States.
Well, you know, it's funny that you should bring that up, because they had a big piece on the news the other night about the fact that even the bilingual advocates in California, after 30 years of not being effective, they've discovered that by making it illegal to have bilingual education, that the Mexicans and the other kids coming in are learning much, much faster. Their test scores, in not only in English but in math, are much improved, and they're doing much better. Bilingual education doesn't work.
Yeah, well, and it finishes it off by saying, which is upsetting to me, it makes it difficult for the new arrivals to America who have not mastered English as a primary language, as you say.
Mm-hmm. They have to be immersed in English immediately. That's the key.
Yeah, well, I don't understand them opposing it.
No, because they're pandering. You should understand. They're pandering.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Pretty simple.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too.
I mean, the AC says the 15th of... Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't that what George W. said? Well, he's reinventing the Spanish language. I mean, Quince, who the hell can say that? But the EC says.
Just because he's not a good public speaker.
Yeah, you're right. Forgot about that. Christ, it's 2 calls back. 21 before 2 at 560 WQA.
Baby, you melt my jockey shorts. Now, from Washington, the McLaughlin Group, featuring Eleanor Cliff, Jack Jamond, and sitting in for Pat Buchanan, New York Giant Tiki Barber. Now, here's John McLaughlin. Issue 1, George W. Rings or vault? Eleanor Cliff.
Well, John, I'd have to say.
Wrong! Jack Jamond.
Well, that's not an easy choice.
Wrong! Tiki Barber.
I'm going to have to say the vault.
Wrong! Actual answer, floor exercise.
That wasn't even a choice.
Next issue, Al Gore. Favorite Broadway show. Bring in the noise, bring in the funk, or Cats. Eleanor G, I think you're swallowed off.
Well, John, I'd have to say.
Wrong! Jackie, Big Jamon.
Well, that's a very difficult choice.
Wrong! Tiki Barber.
I'm going to have to say Rent.
Not a choice, Ricky Tiki Barber.
You gave an answer last time that wasn't a choice.
Wrong! Correct response, Cats. He loves them. Next issue, the cast of Big Brother should be murdered. How? Eleanor.
Guillotine.
Wrong. Jack Jamon.
Dynamite.
Wrong. Tiki Barber.
I don't think they should be killed.
Wrong. Actual answer, poison pudding. Bye-bye.
All right. He's the best. 144 at 560 WQAM. Like I said, nothing like a fascist with a good sense of humor. Wow. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know I'm here in Buffalo eating a sandwich and some pap. And also, I just wanted to tell you, I am definitely voting Gore. And I just wanted to say that George Bush is a coagulated pus sore on the rectum of America.
Okay, thank you. I guess we finally got the diagnosis. Thank you. We've been waiting on that. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Our poll today, the United States is one of the safest, most civilized countries in the world. 76, only 23.2% are foolish enough to make an erroneous statement like that. No calls about that Italian kid that got shot here, goes home and comes here healthy, smile on his face, goes home in a wheelchair, crippled for life. No better or worse than most countries for violence, 92, 28.1%. A slaughterhouse filled with gun nuts and scumbags, 158, 48.3%. And all this garbage about the Second Amendment rights and about the right to have a gun, all this, just like I had a fax yesterday, which I wouldn't even dignify with a response, but I'll bring it up now because it's timely. and idiotic facts about, well, in Germany they took away all the guns, and then George pointed out before in Castro, it's the first thing they take away people's guns. But you know something? If everybody in this country had a gun, how effective would they be against the tanks and against the neutron bombs? You think you'd have much of a chance?
No.
I don't think so. It's just another lame excuse for this country continuing to hang on to that Wild West mentality, that macho thing, that phallic symbol thing. All these guys with their guns, the more guns they got, the smaller their penises. I'll tell you that right now. So watch out. That's right.
Well, I thought getting rid of mine would make it grow, but it didn't.
Here's a lady in Hialeah. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
You're my radio guru.
Uh-huh.
I need you to unconfuse me about something.
Yes?
All these people that are calling in and saying that they're undecided, what are they waiting for? They think that the Bull Moose Party's going to resurrect Teddy Roosevelt or something at the last minute?
That's a good idea. Let's go kill some more Indians.
We everything that is out there, and you got to pick up on it at some point. You can't just wait until election.
Yeah, I don't understand these. Like when they do these focus groups, there are a couple of people that'll say, well, I thought that Gore was going to, and I thought Bush on education was very, and then they'll say, well, then if you, no, I'm waiting to hear. What, you're right. What are they waiting to hear?
Maybe they're waiting for somebody to see what color blood they each have or something.
That might be it. I don't think Bush is willing to take the blood test, though. That's what I'm hearing. No urine test, no blood test.
We're rushing so far to the right that by the time, if they wait for the next presidential election, they'll probably have to take a litmus test, faith-based, to find out if they can get a card to vote.
Thank God for that apartment in Amsterdam. That's all I'm telling you.
Oh! Yeah. Might be moving in next door.
Good luck, sweetheart.
You too, Neil.
I'll still believe. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Maybe Al is listening on the computer over there. Maybe Peter. Maybe my landlord, Peter. What a great guy he is. Hope you got that thing straightened out with that TV set, Peter. You know what I mean. Yeah, they're probably listening right now. Al's saying, oh, there's that fag on the radio from Miami. There's what he does for a living, making all that money that you're squeezing out of his pocket. Speaking of squeezing money out of your pocket, how about stuffing a little bit in there? What do you say?
Only $50. The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Holy cow, Aaron's coming. This is a story of a girl who got lucky. And a nickel, hit the jackpot. She got it all. While his body rocks, she can smile. It's what she was waiting for. And now she is so wealthy. This former girl.
Yes.
That's because she's so lucky. Married Grandpa, and he died. Not accepted, always hard thinking. If I had to do that old stuff, I deserve 450 mil.
153 at 560 WQAM. Joe Costello's run around. Yankees in 4, Yankee sweep. Well, I just said you said it. I don't. Well, why the hell not go for it? Go if you're going to, run around bragging, then go for the sweep. And then if they lose one, Yankees in 5. I don't like either team. Okay, and since they're both from New York, I don't have this thing about New York like George does. See, George has got this enormous hostility toward New York. Why do you give me a look like that? You've always said you hate New Yorkers.
New Yorkers,
right?
Not New York.
Well, I mean, that's
not Manhattan.
That's the problem with New York is that there are a lot of New Yorkers there. It's like the problem with France. It's filled with Frenchmen.
I love the New Yorkers in New York.
Yeah, because the good ones stayed there and the obnoxious ones came here. Well, we know that. And, of course, like George says, there's a lot of Jews there, which he gets very upset about. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. I say leave George right in the middle of Brooklyn, right between the Hasidim and the less Orthodox, and let him straighten that out. Maybe you can be the negotiator. Yeah, maybe you can play pinochle and be the negotiator. Here's Parkland. Hello.
Neil, God, Hockey Dave here.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little calmed down now, but I wanted to kind of rip into that asshole who called earlier about Roberto
Which one was
Luongo.
that? Yeah.
The guy needs to do his research. Even though Luongo played for the Islanders last year, I don't think anybody could have looked good on Long Island last year.
Mm-hmm.
For him to go through 2 periods and then in 5 minutes into the third period give up a goal against a team like Phoenix.
Right.
And only give up 2 goals yesterday.
And then I guess this guy forgets that the 1 goal that he gave up, made a bad clearing pass and went off somebody skated into the net. Pretty hard to stop those.
Yeah. I mean, what does he want? Kirk McLean, who's given up 14 goals in the last 3 games for New York?
Yeah, these people just don't understand that our problem is not... See, the trade, I was real excited about the trade, but Ole Jokinen so far shows me nothing. That's number 1. And number 2, if you're going to trade away a kid like Mark Parrish, who scored a lot of goals, you've got to have somebody else who's going to score for you. And the fact is, you got Bure and Whitney scoring goals, and who else have they got to score goals?
Nobody.
And that's the problem. I mean, I thought it was a terrific trade, but you've got to replace Parrish with somebody that can stick the biscuit in the basket, and we don't have that.
Right. And this guy also has to look at, Luongo's only 21 years old. You know, he's a kid. And he's only going to get better as he goes along.
Right. And speaking of kid, we got Trevor Kidd. He's, whichever one is hot at the moment we got, which most teams don't have the luxury. I mean, the Leafs, if something happens to Curtis Joseph, we got to fall back on Glenn Healy, which, quite frankly, I'll pass on that, thank you.
Right. And I was excited. Leafs, I figured it would be a blowout last night. The way they've been playing.
Yeah.
I figured.
That's going to be tomorrow, I'm afraid.
we were going to lose 10-1.
Yeah.
And to lose in overtime 2-1, we still get the point. I'd like to see them win a game.
It would be nice if they win a game, because if not, next Wednesday when the next home game comes, we'll be able to have our own section.
That's it. 4 games into the season, and everybody's given up on this team already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it, Neil.
But it'll be fun. It'll be fun having a new coach and GM, though, won't it?
Hey. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Something, I watched that show only to see the theatrics that he puts on John McLaughlin and the end. That's my favorite part. Because he's always rushed for time, and he'll be in the middle of a sentence. Bye-bye! Love it. Heil Hitler. Bye-bye! In fact, isn't that what Hitler used to say? When everybody got on the train? Bye-bye! They're just going for a ride. See, and George gets that big smile on his face. They were Jews. Yeah, he gets that big smile on his face. There was some goyim in there where there were gypsies and a bunch of fags, too. Put them in plenty of goyim. Here's a Lady Mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. First time calling, Neil, and I want to make you aware of something that disturbed me immensely. I am an independent voter. Lo and behold, the other day I go to my mailbox. There's a letter from my best friend, sarcastically said, Barbara Bush. I opened the letter, and lo and behold, she has 4 pages, a whole McGill, telling me about George, how he tried to get his wife pregnant. She had the 2 twins, the hard time that she had.
Yeah.
I tore the bloody thing up and threw it in the waste paper basket.
Maybe that put you over the edge.
I beg your pardon?
I said maybe that letter in the mailbox put you over the edge.
It certainly did.
Chased you away from the burning bush.
I beg your pardon?
I said maybe it chased you away from the burning bush.
It certainly did. And you know where my vote is being cast?
Yes.
Guess where? Gore.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the only way to get back at these people. I think they're the 3 bears, Papa, Mama, and little Georgie.
And just like Gore said the other day, first time was too cold and then too hot or whatever it was, and now just right.
Right, and his problem is he don't know